Live from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida, it's the Green Wave of Tulane and the Seminoles of Florida State. Well, hello again, 60,000 fans joining you here in Doak Campbell, along with our expert commentator, Keith Jones. I'm Paul Kennedy, and they best have a lot of electricity running to the scoreboard. When Tulane and Florida State have at it, they score a lot of points.
Well, they really do, Paul, and for the most part, Tulane comes up on the short end here in Doak Campbell Stadium, having lost the last 3 times on their trips here by an average of 38 points.
You love offense. We got it for you this evening. A couple of gunslingers. Peter Tom Willis for Florida State has hurled 15 career touchdown passes.
Well, he's closing in on 2,000 career yardage in passing, and he's close to 1,000 for this season. He's just a real leader. He's really done well here in '89.
The prototypical quarterback for the 90s is a guy that's better than 6 feet 3 inches tall. You got that in Darren Smith for Tulane. He's 6'4", 222 pounds, and he can throw it, punt it, run it. He can do it all.
Well, he's an all-around athlete. He sat on the bench last year, a red shirt in '88. But I tell you, he's come on. He's thrown for over 600 yards through 3 games this year, and I think he's going to be real exciting to watch tonight.
The Florida State secondary seems to be settling down. Leroy Butler, their senior leader, he's added some stability back there. They're confident that they can handle Smith and the Greenies.
Well, Butler's just not from Brewski fame. He can run the ball on the punt fakes, but he also plays corner very, very well. Mickey Andrews and his staff have been extremely pleased, and the big hits that he's come up with have been very exciting for Florida State, especially in LSU.
He wears number 6 for Florida State. Number 8 in green will be Mitchell Price, a fine defensive back, a guy that has, 11 interceptions in 3 years for the Green Wave.
Well, he's got 3 this year, and like Butler, he can bring the big hit, but the thing he does best is hog the ball. He gets around it, and he brings it in for those INTs.
Well, if you love scoring, we think we have it for you this evening. The Green Wave from New Orleans and the Seminoles from Tallahassee. And our kickoff is coming up next. Chief Osceola aboard Renegade. It's war in Tallahassee. The Green Wave and the Seminoles. On what is turning into a picture-perfect night for college football here in the capital city of Florida. And as we mentioned to you, every seat has been sold and will be occupied this evening when you get climbs like that. Temperatures, mid-80s, partly cloudy, slight breeze blowing. The weatherman says there's about a 30% chance of rain here this evening. We certainly hope that that does not happen. Tonight's officials, Terry Monk will work this game. Dick Taylor, Dan Bloom, Paul Jones, Fritz Grass there too, the veteran umpire, Willard Hunter, and David Small. The 2 coaches on your left in his 2nd year, Coach Greg Davis, 7-7 now, last year 5-6, and of course, one of the winningest coaches in the history of college football, 3rd most active in terms of victories. Bobby Bowden trailing only Bo Schembechler and Joe Paterno. He's won 113 games in 14 seasons in Tallahassee. Gary Butler for Tulane with the football on the tee. And here we go in a series which Florida State has dominated. This is the freshman, Shannon Baker. All the way out to the 30 and the 31-yard line. He averages close to 20 yards a return, that time 6 yards better. And with fine field position, here comes the Florida State Seminoles on offense, led by that gentleman, Peter Tom Willis, the 5th-year senior quarterback from Morris, Alabama. Willis with his Fab Four contingent, and the running backs in Bennett and Carter. Michael Tanks and Hayward Haynes have been stalwarts. Stevenson is a freshman. First play of the night. From his 31, here comes Ronald Lewis in motion. And Carter bouncing outside. And having to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage. That Tulane defense that comes in here highly regarded, led by Mike Riley, the left corner on the stop. Brown, Sauter, Treadway, Benford, they're big up front. The linebacking core all run better than 4-8s, as does the secondary. And every member of the secondary has lettered at least once. So, Keith Jones, you have veterans back there for Tulane.
Well, a lot of them have started at various times. They've not started as a group, but they really think their defensive secondary is a strong part of this defensive unit.
Call it a gain of 1, and right up the middle. Edgar Bennett stopped by the right tackle, the junior, 260-pound Andy Treadway. That'll set up third down.
Coming in tonight's contest, Florida State throwing the ball an average of 40 times a night. Some of that has to do with the fact, and you see the numbers there on Willis of being behind, but Florida State traditionally has run the ball against Tulane. First two plays opening this series, we see that.
So a possession snap right out of the chute. Anthony to the top of your screen, Lewis to the bottom, and we go airborne. All the time in the world for Peter Tom, and he skips it up short in Green Wave territory. Lewis was open as he came back to the boundary, but the ball falls incomplete, and the Noles will punt.
Willis with a very strong arm. Tough pass to throw, left hash to right sideline. See Charlie Ward there, Paul. Florida State's punting unit, 7th in the nation in net punting. That's a big reason why.
High snap over his head. He'll scoop it up. Now he's a quarterback too. Was recruited as a quarterback. Shows it there. To the 50-yard line. It may come back being an illegal or ineligible receiver. That's Kevin Grant, normally a linebacker, that made the catch. You don't think that Kevin caught the ball there, that Ward knew what to do with it when he was in trouble?
Well, Charlie coming in as a freshman, extremely gifted athlete, took on the punting duties. Anytime you get a bad snap and get a run around by the punter, as you see Monk there indicating, you're going to get linemen downfield. Florida State has had problems with their deep snap all season long. Ward's been able to jump up and get it most of the time, but you see him turn that ball in that right hand. He knows right what to do with it, and Grant down there to make the reception, but all for naught.
Also there was Bryce Abbott, a reserve strong safety.
Ineligible downfield, Florida State. Still fourth down.
Gene Haupt, the sophomore deep snapper. A little bit too adrenaline in those wrists, so Charlie Ward will try it again. He's averaging 41 yards in 9 previous efforts. His best has been a 54 yards. The right foot into it. A poor punt. Bounding at the 43. Mitchell Price for Tulane, even though he possesses great speed, can do nothing but stand and watch, and Haupt, who snapped it, gets down there to down it. He was the first man down that time, number 79.
He'll probably be the last man off the field, though, because there'll be a segment coach over there wanting to talk to him.
A 41-yard punt, and here we take a look at Darren Smith. Talented and big, can run and can throw. Stanley Barre, his fullback. Pierce, the tailback. Shoulders, Himes, Young, Puckett, Millage. A fine offensive line that has not permitted a sack this year. Looking for Jerome McIntosh, his leading receiver. The split end, and he threw it high to an open McIntosh. John Weiss, strong safety, was there.
You see good yardage, good completion percentage, and good TD to interception ratio from a man that was redshirted in '88. Steps in for Terrence Jones, and I tell you, he's done an outstanding job through 3 games for the Green Wave.
Darren Smith, the quarterback, was a Prop 48 casualty as a freshman. Backed up Jones and also handled the punting duties as a sophomore. He'll do that again this evening. And then, as Keith said, set out last year. To the air again. Good time. First down. Hey, the Noles were coming. Diedrich Dodge on the stop, but not before Jerome McIntosh, a man who collected 3 touchdown grabs against the Noles last year, has the first down reception.
Well, he's their big gun. 14 receptions, 167 yards this year. He gets off the line well. He throws himself around well on blocks, and he catches the ball well. He's everything you want in a receiver, and you see him go over the middle there and not hesitating to bring the ball in.
A gain of 14 yards. On first down, we'll go around the right side. Harold Dennis attracts attention, and a swarm of Garnet jerseys, and Kevin Grant, who caught the pass earlier. The outside linebacker, the senior, the 2-year letterman from Ocala, is the first one there with the gold helmet. The defensive line, Odell Higgins. That's Higgins rather than Higgins, the nose tackle. Thompson has added 50 pounds to his bench. He's much stronger. McCorvey, the walk-on. Reagans, Dodge, Butler. Although Weiss is out there in place of Reagans right now. 2nd and 9, flags down. To the boundary, open. Jerry Urson, the flanker, and close to the first down marker as he comes across midfield and into Seminole territory. There is Weiss on the stop.
I believe we're going to have two separate calls. We've got flags in the offensive backfield and the defensive backfield. Illegal shift against the Green Wave.
Urson on the isolation, and nobody picks him up, Keith.
Well, you got vertical pressure coming down with the man in motion. That runs everybody off. White's a little late getting up.
Illegal shift. Tulane, still second down.
You saw, too, Keith Carter, the strong side linebacker, got screened away from Urson trying to come over.
Well, of course, you know, you can't pick in college football, but you can get in there and kind of like they do in basketball and give you a little bit of a moving screen, and that time Tulane executing well. Unfortunately, motion bringing it back.
A second down and 14. We're just underway. First quarter, no score from Doak Campbell Stadium. Smith in the pocket. Down the middle, and caught at the 41-yard line. McIntosh again. He's from Niceville, Florida. You know it means a lot to him to come back to his native state.
Well, there are 15 Floridians on the 58-man travel squad for the Green Wave. You're going to see him looking right at you, and he has plenty of time to let McIntosh clear. See him get right in there between Butler and the corner. Butler that time moved off in the equivalent of a safety position. At 6'1", 191, he can go up there and get it. Being a senior, he's done it many times before.
The McIntosh was recruited by Oklahoma as a quarterback. That's how great an athlete he is. Well, first down, and for the first time in Knoll territory, a team that comes in here nearly a 30-point underdog. Barre drives inside the 40, down to the 39-yard line, and Shelton Thompson, the senior three-year letterman from Lakeland, the outside linebacker, on the initial hit.
One back set, Barre back there all by himself. This is the old off-tackle play. People pulling out and leading. Weiss coming up to make the hit with some help from the rest of the people.
Higgins came down the line, too. Barre had only one carry all last year, and he comes into this game as Tulane's leading rusher. The blitz is on. Sideline. At the 30-yard line, they'll say no grab for McIntosh. And he had a good step on Errol McCorvey of Florida State. Work those wideouts deep, Keith, and then they come, or the secondary deep, and then come back to the boundary.
Well, McIntosh probably will be busy tonight, as we've already seen, was busy last time Florida State and Tulane met. Clearly, we see the ball on the ground. Smith just a little low with it. Caught 9 passes in last year's contest, Paul, and certainly Florida State not surprised by Tulane going to him.
On 3rd and 8. The first sack of the season surrendered by Tulane. And it was a big play on 3rd and long. Shelton Thompson at an opportune time for FSU. It's punt time for Tulane. That means that Darren Smith will stand in there. Their quarterback, that's him, number 12. He averages 43 yards. A kick, 3rd best in the NCAA, believe it or not. Kicking to fleet-footed Terrell Buckley, the freshman, who calls for the fair catch and makes it at his 15-yard line. The punt was hung up there. It traveled 31 yards without a return. No score, 10-19 showing in the first quarter. And Florida State again on offense from its 15-yard line.
Watch Thompson come right up the middle with a spin move and just keeps working himself upfield pressure. Moves in on Smith. Only the 3rd sack by Florida State's defense. Now 3 games and partway through the first quarter of the 4th.
With a clap of the hands, the Seminoles up to the line of scrimmage. Peter Tom Willis, 0 for 1. Threw it sidearm, and Carter catches it. Out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Mitchell Price, the left cornerback, on the stop. But the versatile Dexter Carter, who has now 8 receptions on the year, came out into the flat and Watch Peter Tom. He whips that ball sidearm, Keith.
Well, he's going to get pressure. He has plenty of time. Offensive line does a good job of holding. Finally, he gets pressure and just sidearms it out there, kind of like that sidearm fastball you see in the majors. Carter brings it in upfield.
Play action. Throwing deep. Caught by the tight end. Across midfield, out of bounds. Reggie Johnson, the junior from Pensacola. A big game. They pick up 24 on the play. Biggest play of this first quarter.
Willis flowing to his left and then holding up. Johnson just on a little down and out pattern from his tight end position. Throw and catch, that's how you average 280 yards a game through the air, as Florida State does.
The Noles blessed with two fine tight ends. Johnson, there, a two-year letterman, and of course you have Dave Roberts. And Johnson, coming off that near tragic automobile accident this summer, is back and at full speed. Off the slant and complete. First down, Bruce LaSalle. The Fab Four. Preston Washington, a senior defensive back on the stop. Another first down. The Noles have gone 16 yards, 24 yards, and now 13 yards in their last three snaps.
Ball's going to be coming pretty much right at you. A little slant in pattern by LaSalle. You just wait for him to clear the underneath people and just bring it in.
Florida State on the march. No score. Carter, a fine hole, and he keeps those legs churning and fights his way down close to the 27-yard line. The middle linebacker and Tulane's top tackler, Pat Stamp, the junior from New Orleans, makes the tackle. Tulane is a team under coordinator John Devlin, Keith, that plays almost an 8-man front.
They really challenge the run. They have that much confidence in their secondary. They'll sometimes walk 8 people up, and with all the speed they've got back there, they're talented enough to get away with it.
Lewis in motion. And now man coverage, a flag down. The pass intended for LaSalle being defended stride for stride by Mark Thornhill.
Pass intended for Bruce LaSalle, called incomplete at the 8.
The linesman, right by LaSalle, dropped the flag. Could be holding. Offsides.
Some shifting and moving around by Tulane, and they just didn't get set out of the neutral zone, and you get a good look at there right on the left-hand part of your screen, left-hand side of the crossbar there.
Offside defense lining up in the neutral zone. Still second down.
You talk about the aggressiveness and the shifting and the motion, trying to confuse Peter Tom Willis and his head coach Bobby Bowden, and you'll make mistakes like that. Not set at the time of the snap and in the neutral zone. Florida State spreads the field facing second and short. They'll opt to take the first down. And inside the 20, down to the 19, fights Edgar Bennett, the sophomore, 6'1", 222 from Jacksonville, his second carry. 67 yards coming into this one. On the ground, scored a touchdown last week, did Edgar, against LSU.
That 3.7-yard average is deceiving too, Paul. When this man gets in the open field from fullback position, he's very fleet-footed.
It's a first down. 8.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. No score. But Florida State now threatening. Peter Tom Willis. Complete to Lewis at the 11-yard line, and a flag comes flying in.
Lewis's pass intended for Ron Lewis. Incomplete at the 10.
Lewis on the receiving end of what should be the fourth completion by Willis, but holding will be charged to Florida State. See if he caught this ball. I thought he did from up here.
Just a 5-step drop, a couple of shuffle steps. Not a real pretty ball, but Lewis unable to come down with it, and you see it right there behind his feet. Comes out from under him. Had he caught it, though, all for naught.
No first down. The first major penalty against Florida State will push it all the way back to the 29-yard line in a area of the field you can least afford to surrender ground like that, either a sack or a major penalty. 1st and 20 now. At the 29, single back set. Peter Tom, he wants 6. He's going for Lassane. Incomplete. Great defense by Mike Riley, the junior quarterback, number 41. He was with him stride for stride.
Well, you've got a 5'11" guy in Riley going against a 6'4" guy in Lassane. Lassane's open, and I know Peter Tom Willis would like to have this ball back. It's underthrown, Paul. That gives Riley time to settle, does a good job of just positioning himself, and breaks the pass up.
Riley from Herrera, Louisiana. Hard-nosed guy. Lassane has only 4 receptions in 3 previous games, the fewest among the Fab Four, and number 4 wants to throw again. Over the middle. Complete to his tight end, Johnson, who breaks the tackle and bulldogs his way to the 14. He was not about to stop, was he, at the 15-yard line? Mark Thornhill finally brought him down.
Well, you want to see what it looks like from right behind the quarterback. Johnson clears and then misses the tackle or sheds the tackle, and then he and Thornhill just match up. And that's a load to bring down in Reggie Johnson.
Of the 68 yards that Willis has earned through the air, 39 of them have been gathered by that man. Reggie Johnson having a big night. Had only 6 catches coming into this one, has 2 this evening. The slant end route. Incomplete, no flag. Looking for Terry Anthony. Linzer Burton, the strong safety, screened him. Double coverage on Anthony. There's Burton.
Burton's just going to turn and run with Anthony. Carter clearing out. Anthony on not really up the field, but kind of up the field as opposed to across the field. And I think from that look, Paul, a little bit of a reason for a complaint.
Richie Andrews, who had lost his starting role as Florida State's field goal kicker, has now reclaimed it, and from 28 yards away, he makes Coach Bowden's faith in him pay off. He breaks the scoring column with a 3-point with his first field goal of the night, and it's 3-0 Florida State, 7:27 remaining in the first quarter. Major League Baseball comes your way. Less than a week to go. This pennant race, the Baltimore Orioles believe they can catch the Blue Jays. Be there Wednesday, September 22nd, live from Milwaukee County Stadium. The first pitch of the night at 8:30. Richie Andrews caps the 9-play, 73-yard march with his 29-yard field goal. And you have to say, indeed, Keith, that the key plays in that one were Willis throwing to Reggie Johnson.
3 receptions, I believe, for Johnson on the drive, moving downfield. Unfortunately, not 7, but certainly happy to get the 3.
Here comes Michael Pierce for Tulane across the 15. Breaks through the 20 to 25 and up to the 27-yard line. Lagged for a moment, saw daylight, and he turns it into a fine return of 25 yards. He's only 5'8", but packs 200 pounds on that small frame.
And they use him a lot. He returns kickoffs, he catches the ball out of the backfield, and of course runs it from his tailback position. 6th in the NCAA right now in all-time yard or all-purpose yardage. 73 yards on 9 plays. Didn't take a lot of time and got 3 points out of it.
Back at the helm, Aaron Smith for Tulane. And the handoff is to Terrence Strickland, who cracks across the 30 and up to the 31-yard line. And Odell Higgins, preseason All-American nose tackle, slid down the line to make the stop. Higgins said last week, Keith, that he ripped up a piece of sod from Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge and said this was a sod game, that win over the Tigers. We're bringing it home and planting it.
Of course, Florida State with a great tradition of the cemetery over on the practice fields. They bury the sod from those away games in which they were underdogs that they come out victorious.
To the air again. Wide side is the right side. Billy Reagan hammers Michael Pierce coming out of the backfield. Reagan's the junior from Live Oak. Planted it.
Well, he had 20 tackles coming in tonight. Here's 21, and that's how you do it. The coaches will critique him just a little bit, Paul, because you got to get that head on the upfield side of the receiver, but they'll take the effort.
It's a gain of 4. 3rd and 2. On the draw. Harold Dennis will not get out of the backfield. Kelvin Smith, FSU's top tackler last year, makes a big stop here.
3rd and 2, delayed draw action. Dennis tries to work himself laterally instead of getting upfield, and Kelvin Smith slowed most of the fall by a bad shoulder. Comes in and shows why the coaches are high on him and are happy to have him back healthy.
The second punt of the night for Smith. His first effort sailed 31 yards. A 10-man rush. They nearly got it. Calling for the fair catch, Terrell Buckley. From the 27, he'll make the catch. He just did get that one away. Did Darren Smith as the Seminoles were going for the block. It sailed 37 yards without a return. And enjoying a 3-point lead with 5:23 to go in the first quarter, here comes Peter Tom back into the fray. Willis through the air is 4 of 7, or 4 of 8 rather, for 70 yards. Man coverage, Lewis, or rather Baker, Shannon Baker.
Pass was intended for number 1.
Incomplete. Using the play action, Keith, trying to get man coverage on those speedy wideouts, or getting the secondary to react away from the intended receiver.
Well, you've got a very mature defensive unit for Tulane, 10 returners from last year, and as we said earlier, the secondary being what they consider their strongest point, the secondary didn't take the bite. Well covered on Baker as Willis was a little errant in his throw.
Back to the air, all along Anthony. 45, 35, 30-yard line. A 47-yard completion. And number 4 to a Fab 4 member in Anthony looked fabulous.
Wide open, too much cushion there. Anthony does a good job. You know, a lot of times, Paul, it's more important what you do after you catch. That Daytona Beach native knows what to do after the catch. He and Dawsey both able to pick up extra yards after the catch.
Anthony caught a pair of touchdowns himself in the Superdome last year against Tulane. This is exclusively an air show, and Dawsey has a touchdown. A 30-yard touchdown strike.
There's nothing prettier than a simple throw and a catch. Fly pattern by Dawsey. Unbelievably perfect throw by Willis. Plenty of time from the offensive line. That lights up the scoreboard.
Reggie Andrews looking to add the extra point. And it's perfect. Timeout on the field. Florida State leading 10-0. Back after this word from Pepsi-Cola. Bottlers of refreshing Diet Pepsi. The very first game in the history of the Orlando Magic. And it's against the defending world champion Detroit Pistons. Friday, October 13th. We'll have it for you live. Chip Carey and the Goose, Jack Gibbons. From courtside, our pregame show at 7:30. The game at 8 right here on the Sunshine Network. At Drive, in the blink of an eye, just 3 plays. 21 seconds, 10-0 Florida State. And here's Richie Andrews, who just added the extra point, getting all of his foot into this one. It's Michael Pierce headed your way across the 20, 25, and up to the 27-yard line. And on the stop is Chris Hall, reserve cornerback. How about that?
John Davis and Kevin Grant.
I think that's what you call conserving energy. 3 plays, 73 yards, took 21 seconds. That's about how fast I used to run 73 yards.
His first attempt was incomplete, and the 47-yarder to Anthony, and the 30-yarder to Dawson.
Go sit down and get a cup of water.
There's Darren Smith. Out in motion, James Toney. I'll hand it to Barry with a single setback, and Barry is barred from gaining a yard. Stanley Barry, all 203 pounds of him, from New Orleans, ran into a wall. I'll give him a yard. 2nd and 9.
When a one-back set, there's not a lot of misdirection you can run. Again, we've seen it 2 or 3 times, just that off-tackle play. 51 carries already this year through 3 games is Barry, and nowhere to go that time.
He needs 8 for a first down. Open McIntosh. That was there before. When this game first began earlier this quarter, he goes back to him, and Errol McCorvey comes over to make the stop. Greg Davis went 5-6 last year, 2-1 this year.
Florida State in a roll-up coverage, strong safety underneath, the corner behind, and McIntosh just gets in between them. Smith does a great job of laying the ball in, and you can't draw it up any better than that.
Greg Davis's very first game as the head coach of Tulane was in a bowl game, Independence Bowl. That's caught by McIntosh again. Solid hit by Leroy Butler from behind. Veteran senior corner, number 2 tackler. Jacksonville.
You mentioned a kind of insignificant statistic on Butler there that I'm sure Florida State coaches would point to as a problem. He is the number 2 tackler from his cornerback position. You hope that your linebackers and down linemen are making those tackles. Florida State's defense struggled early, and cornerback number 2 tackler.
On 2nd and 5. Not much for Terrence Strickland, the Shreveport sophomore. Shelton Thompson is there again. 12 carries for 19 yards coming in for that gentleman. But much like Michael Pierce, the 2 tailbacks who alternate, they're on the receiving end a great deal. As he'll go to his backs quite a bit.
Strickland saw a lot of action as a freshman last year, had 10 catches out of the backfield. It has great hands, great hands.
3rd and 2. Fumble. Florida State went to the bottom of the pile and came away with the football. And apparently, the Butler did it. Number 6 for Florida State took it away from number 6 for Tulane.
I don't think he ever got a handle on it. You see a poor exchange right there. The ball just floats out in front of him, and now it's a mad scramble while it's on the ground, and Leroy Butler down at the bottom with those hands comes away with it.
The first turnover of this game goes Florida State's way. And with a 10-point lead and backed by the sold-out Doak Campbell Stadium, on a warm September night, Florida State looking to even its record at 500 at 2-2, goes on the warpath once again. Timing right, Willis throwing off his back foot. Baker can't get there. Shannon's a frustrated young man. He's yet to catch a pass in his career, and you'll recall the bomb that he was on the receiving end against Clemson when it was brought back because of the holding call.
Unbelievable speed. You know, when you talk about the Fab Four for Florida State, they're not really noted for their speed. But that young man right there, Baker, has plenty of speed utilized on kickoff returns, and now working himself as we're into the season more into a regular rotation of play.
Lassane wide left. You see him in the upper right part of your screen, and that's Lewis at the bottom, and the handoff goes right up the gut. Into Green Wave territory, and he was trying to direct traffic there, too. Pretty good hole.
Well, he works pretty well up in there amongst the linemen. He's a big man from the fullback position, 6'1", 222. Watch him, he's just going to come across. Carter leads him up, and he cuts back, gets to an arm tackle, and works his way upfield, if not for just that little trip right there. Has plenty of speed. Interesting whether he's even been caught in the backfield.
Eric Gibbs in a tackle on the left side, replacing Robert Stevenson. Quickly out of the backfield, Carter. Carter has the sideline, may have a face mask.
Pass complete to number 13.
Linzer Burton made the tackle down at the 34-yard line and apparently simply got him around the headgear. We take another look.
Great action. The receiver runs a post pattern, short post pattern. Carter just slides out of the backfield. It's wide open. Carter brings it in and heads upfield. And that's not a face mask, Paul. It's an ear hole. Get that finger in that ear hole and turn that thing around.
It's another first down. 1st and 10 for a team that leads by 10. Willis is hungry. Great grab. And now having to fight for it, Bruce Lassane. Lassane must have awfully strong hands to be able to hold onto a pass that was fired with that velocity.
Well, he's a great receiver from my hometown, Wildwood, Florida. 6'4", runs good patterns, not the prettiest pass in the world, makes a good turn outside, and just down there on the ground, just let that ball get away from him, and he'll get a good talking to by Coach Eason, the receiver coach, over a situation like that.
Willis has already thrown for 164 yards, and now getting more. Tight end Dave Roberts.
Pass complete to number 83.
Inside the 20 and down to the 18-yard line. What is it about the tight ends? Seldom used last year. They're having a big 1989.
Well, the Fab Four, the 4 wideouts for Florida State, directed a lot of attention. That's left the middle open for Johnson, and as you see there, Dave Roberts, and Florida State capitalizing on it.
The first catch for Roberts, the 9th completion for Peter Tom Willis. Season. And the Knowles, whoa, personal foul. And that will negate the touchdown. Share the frustration here, Keith, of Dave Roberts.
Well, you can't believe how threaded that pass was. You see it go through 2 Green Wave defenders to get to Roberts. Great concentration on his part to bring it in. Officials still conferring about where to mark the spot to begin the walk-off. Obviously a disappointing turn of events for Roberts.
Well, that erases the touchdown. You take him from the 18-yard line and march Florida State back to the 33. And here is Tulane's defense, which has been on the field forever in this first quarter. We still have 1 minute and 8 left in it. They're being bombarded by this aerosol. Need to get to the bunkers. Their offense has been unable to sustain. And look at Peter Tom. He's going to the boundary. Dawsey at the 12-yard line.
Pass is complete to number 29, Lawrence Dawsey.
Dawsey, who caught the lone touchdown pass tonight, is on the receiving end of a 22-yard reception now.
Ground level look, play action fake. See Roberts coming out, drawing the corner to him. That leaves a space between the corner and the safety for Dawsey to come in. And again, you see another indication of how he can turn upfield after he catches the ball.
197 yards passing for Peter Tom Willis. Thus, he's over the 1,000 plateau for this season and looking for more. What about Anthony? He shredded Mitchell Price. A battle of 8s, and number 8 fights his way into the end zone.
3-step quick drop by Willis. What Florida State's trying to do is isolate their receivers on the defensive backs of Tulane, and you see Anthony make a great move to slip the grasp and then get into the end zone.
Arriving late was Vincent Mulmore, the linebacker. It is 17-0, Florida State, with 55 seconds to go. So forget the penalty. The Knowles quickly overcome the disappointment. The lost touchdown to Roberts, come right back to Anthony. And it's a waltz early in Tallahassee.
Quick look at it, and watch the feet. Watch how Anthony keeps his feet moving. He keeps his feet moving. That allows him to get out of the grasp of Pierce, and then he just heads up the other 4 or 5 yards for the touchdown.
A touchdown by Terry Anthony, one by Lawrence Darcy. You take care of Lewis and Lassane, and you have served the Fab Four well.
Well, Anthony had 14 catches coming into tonight's contest, tied for the team lead. You know, Florida State's thrown to 10 different receivers this year, Paul. They really spread their offensive attack out, and with folks like Anthony and Dawsey and Lassane and Roberts and Johnson and Lewis and all the rest of them, Florida State throwing the ball 40 times a contest, wide open air attack.
Pierce to the left of your screen, Terrence Strickland to the right, the sophomore. There's Richie Andrews. Now both Pierce and Strickland have return kickoffs for touchdowns in their careers. And this is Strickland. Nimble-footed over the 20 and up to the 22-yard line, a return of 12. An unenviable position for quarterback Darren Smith to find himself in. Down by 17, and the first quarter's not over.
Well, of course, you never want to be down by 17 at any time in the contest, Paul, but the Tulane offense is geared to drop back passing in an option look. So it's not like you got to play catch up with the wishbone or the veer. Tulane can air the ball out. That young man right there, Smith, has got a rocket for an arm, and they certainly have an offense that can move the ball when they need to.
Looking for his 6th completion, and it's intercepted by Butler. Butler wants to go back the other way. Inside the 20 and down into the 17. A 19-yard return for Butler. He has a fumble recovery and now an interception.
I talked about Green Wave being able to move the ball. You can't move the ball when you make an errant pass like that. Going into traffic is Smith. Butler right there to pick it up, and he returns punts, Paul. With Buckley doing such a great job, he hasn't been called upon to do it, but you see there why. He's a great open field runner. Beginning of the year return punts. An all-around good athlete, and once again, the Butler does it.
Tulane's offense not able not only to sustain, but look at this. Another pass. No. Nearly a touchdown to Lassane. I was going to say, Tulane, not only can they not hold on to the football and give the defense some breathing room, and not even 3 downs. That was 1 play and out. The defense has to go back out and try to hold off the Noles again, who have scored in a 21-second drive, if you can call it that, 3 plays. And now a 2-minute possession that consumed 7 minutes, covered 59 yards. Bobby Bowden couldn't have planned this one any more to his liking. With half a minute to go, Willis guns, and it's caught at the 2-yard line by Bruce Lassane, the senior. Coming into this game, he had 4 catches, as we mentioned earlier. Even fullback Edgar Bennett had more than Bruce Lassane. So he's looking for a big night tonight.
He really is. Good, strong throw by Willis. Lassane cradling the ball, getting down low to cradle the ball in. Florida State obviously coming into the contest wanting to utilize Lassane and the rest of the wideouts, including the tight ends, to put the ball in the air, and being successful so far doing it.
First and goal at the 2, an I formation, and pounding the middle is Edgar Bennett, the sophomore fullback, down to the 1-yard line. And that'll do it. This first quarter is history, and the Noles will receive a thunderous ovation. They're standing in Tallahassee, and it's Florida State 17, Tulane nothing. Back with the second quarter in just a moment. It's second and goal for the Noles as we open the second quarter. And this is Carter. It's become a family affair. An explosion for Florida State. Carter rambling into the end zone, scoring his 4th touchdown of this 1989 campaign, and everything is garnet and gold.
Delayed toss action. You saw Carter stutter step just a second to let everybody move first. Then he receives the ball, makes a good move around the tackler, and sprints to the end zone.
Reggie Andrews to add his 3rd extra point out of the hold of Brad Johnson. He does so. And the lead now mushrooms to 24-0. That is a 41-second possession following the interception by Leroy Butler. The Noles have a possession and a drive of 21 seconds and one of 41 seconds, and their longest has been of 2:43. It's an obvious mismatch early between Florida State, a team which concluded last season ranked 2nd in the nation and was beaten twice earlier by Southern Miss and Clemson. Now putting together series such as that, Keith.
First quarter, Florida State, 24 offensive plays, on track to go over nearly 90 for a game, which is slightly unheard of. 18 passes, 6 runs, 75% of the play calling in the air from Wayne McDuffie and his crew, offensive coordinator for Florida State.
Would you say that Coach McDuffie and company believe that they hold the advantage in their receiving core and their pass protection to Tulane's defensive scheme?
I think that's a fair assessment.
I would too. Richie Andrews. For a guy that hasn't seen a lot of action, well, he's made up for it in the first quarter alone tonight. A knuckleball knocked down by Strickland. And he rambles his way out to the 25, 26, 27-yard line. Reggie Freeman, a reserve outside linebacker, hustles down to make the tackle for Florida State after a 20-yard return. The first quarter in 17-0, and on the second snap of period number 2, it's Dexter Carter from 1.5 yards out.
Well, Paul, this may sound a little unrealistic, but Tulane cannot get away from what they intended to come in here doing. Tulane tries to catch up too quick, then turnovers and interceptions result, and the route's on.
Aaron Smith, foot tied. It's Butler again. Leroy Butler. They'll mark it at the 36-yard line. 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery.
That's what I was speaking to. Just a poor pass by Smith. The receiver was open to the outside. Look at the isolation. The receiver's open to outside. McIntosh, throw it to the right of the receiver, not back into the coverage. Smith does not do that. Butler ends up with his 2nd interception of the night.
This is a team, Keith, that had only 3 interceptions in its first 3 games in Florida State. Now you have 2 by Butler. Carter benefiting from a marvelous hold. Hayward Haynes, the split guard, number 65, and Michael Tanks, the center, number 68, have been the Ironmen this year, Keith. They've missed only 1 snap between the 2 of them, and that was the fumble-rooski when Hayward Haynes rambled for 21. So between Tanks and Haynes up the middle, and Tony Yeomans on the right side, a 3-year letterman, right there in the middle, number 70, have some veteran talent. Incomplete. Intended for Anthony. Over the middle, Mitchell Price. A corner in the vicinity.
Getting back to that offensive line too, Paul, when you come into the season like Florida State did, they really felt they had 10 people up front that could play. And there's been 7 or 8 of them that have played very, very well and have played a lot. You've also got people up there that have played hurt. John Brown broke his leg last year. Yeoman's hurt. You know, they've done a great job of protecting Willis, and they've really been a very pleasant surprise for Wayne McDuffie.
It's 3rd down now and 6 for the Noles. They need to get it inside the 25. He sets up the screen. Daylight. 25, 20, pushed down the floor. Magnificent acting. Tulane was so stunned when they came through that offensive line. We were just talking about it. Willis feigned them into believing that the line had broke down, but that's not the case.
Great job, too, by the offensive line of Florida State. You know, there's an art to blocking for the screen. Everybody says, oh, that should be so simple. You hit your man and then you run outside. But knowing when to do it and how to do it and not to look like you're doing it is really an art.
1st and 10 again for Florida State. Carter through 2 tackles, loses the ball, and it's Tulane. Falling on it, Mark Thornhill, the sophomore defensive back. The first turnover for Florida State. It comes at the 11-yard line.
Tulane does a good job on this play of grabbing Carter's arms. Watch him try to grab his arms right there and force the ball to come out. And Carter not able to recover it. Thornhill there. Ball kind of squirts underneath his belly. He rolls up around it, and 1st and 10 the other way.
That's an indication of some fight left in what has to be a very stunned Tulane team, down 24-0, 13.5 minutes to go in the first half before this huge crowd. All right. You heard the helmets crack. All right side, Kirk Carruthers was there, the sophomore who's putting together some fabulous numbers, Keith, in a young career.
Well, he has had a great year so far. 19 solo tackles through the first 3 games, 37 total tackles. Not a big man, just a little over 200 pounds, native out of Michigan. But he really has a good nose for the football. And I tell you, he and Kelvin Smith, when Kelvin is healthy, are an extremely talented linebacking corps.
Yeah, when Michigan State came in here last year, he was a one-man wrecking crew. On the drop, all right. He can't get away from Eric Hayes. Where's the beef? It's gone from Eric. He's lost about 30 pounds so he could play again. Started last week against LSU, and here the senior 3-year letterman at a svelte 275.
Hayes reads the action away, moves down the line of scrimmage, and just with great athletic ability is able to actually catch up to the running back from behind. Chuck Amato there with the headsets on, in the back of his head there, you know, just wishes Eric would come in at the svelte 270 plus instead of over 300.
3rd and 8. All out blitz. And he threw it away. He had little choice, did Darren Smith. Kirk Carruthers, the inside linebacker, Sheldon Thompson from the outside, had drawn a feed on number 12.
Tulane forced into a 4th and long. Smith on the punt, as you see there. Watch Terrell Buckley of Florida State chooses to go for the return. Florida State's punt receiving team, number 1 in the country.
Buckley runs a 4.35 40. Florida State with 10 men up. Near midfield, Buckley watches it bound and tumble out of play. They were kicking it away from him, was Darren Smith, the 34-yard effort, but better than putting it in the hands of a guy that can fly. And Florida State leading 24-0. Bobby Bowden giving Peter Tom Willis final instructions. You think he'll say, yeah, just keep it in the air. It's working.
Well, it's an unfortunate situation for Florida State to this little small degree. If your offensive attack is to come in and throw the ball, you get up early and you keep throwing the ball, it looks like you're running the score up.
The numbers on Peter Tom Willis in the first half alone. Timing out for Baker. He's got it at the 20-yard line. His first catch as a Seminole. Mitchell Price, the cornerback, was there, Keith. This is so difficult to defend.
A well-thrown ball, Paul, is impossible to defend. If that ball gets enough arc on it as this one does to drop down over the defender, it's virtually impossible to defend. Baker outside just a little bit. Had that ball been a little bit more into the playing surface, probably would have been gone for 6.
On 1st and 10, Willis on the roll. Open. All more to the 7-yard line. The fullback in the flat. Moore has scored a touchdown in each of the last two Seminole outings against both Clemson and LSU, and when he caught that one, he had to think that he had a chance to score here. A lot of green grass in front of him.
Well, that he did. He's a big man. Paul Moore is out of his fullback position, better than 220 pounds. He possesses those nice soft hands you hear everyone talking about as well. Makes him an excellent receiver.
He's the fullback. Amp Lee, a freshman, is in at tailback. We're going to the end zone, and he overshoots an open Ronald Lewis. On the down and out, Lewis had made the corner Mike Riley slip. And Peter Tom knows he should have had 6 more.
That's probably about as much emotion as you'll see from Willis, that little shrug and the roll of the eyes, but he sure wishes he could have that one back. There's plenty of room to the wide side of the field. If he'd have waited just a little while longer and led Lewis out away from the defender, it would have definitely been an easy catch, or an easier catch.
So Amp Lee, the freshman, playing in place of the suspended Chris Parker at the tail. And he'll take it for the first time. To the 5. Touchdown. On the very first carry of his college career, Amp Lee scores a touchdown.
And I'll tell you, Paul, a lot of people make predictions like, watch this guy. Amp Lee is probably one of the people that justifies a comment like that as well as anyone. And don't be surprised if people don't look back to 1989 and say, yeah, well, the first time he ever touched the ball as a Seminole, he scored. They expect great things out of this young man.
The extra point off a bad snap placed down well by Brad Johnson. And it's a 31-0 game. Shannon Baker with his first collegiate reception, the key play in the drive. And then Amp Lee, the first time he touches it in a garnet and gold uniform, puts it into the end zone. We'll be back. $31-0, and there is still 11 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first half. From sold-out Doak Campbell Stadium. This crowd, we're told, of 61,613, the 6th largest in Florida State history, treated to that scoring drive. And the youngest person in a uniform in the stadium caps it. Here comes Terrence Strickland to the wide side, and he won't get to the 20. Chris Hall, a reserve cornerback, on the stop following a return of 15 yards.
I tell you, Paul, one subtle thing that this high score will do for Florida State is it will allow their kickoff team to get some real good live practice. Florida State first 3 ball games not doing a good job on kickoff defending or kickoff team getting down and making tackles. That time you see a great job on Strickland holding him to about the 16-yard line.
From Despechain, Louisiana, is Darren Smith. Stanabare, the sophomore, cracking the right side. Barry carrying for the 5th time on the night. Now that's Harold Dennis, rather. Harold Dennis, the freshman, a true freshman, 6 feet tall, from St. James, Louisiana.
The last column is the problem.
Sterling Palmer, now in at linebacker for Florida State. The ball came loose, but was ruled out. Ball carrier was in Dennis when it came loose. Jim Gladden, assistant coach, along with Chuck Amata. 2 fine defensive assistants for Bobby Bowden. Get a look at Sterling Palmer in a minute. There's another youngster for Florida State that came in here with all the credentials one could ask for.
Very highly touted as a freshman. Florida State very pleased that he chose to come here.
On first down, a nice hole for Dennis. Off the right side. Kirk Carruthers was there. Henry Astaszewski there as well.
Now, Paul, this is exactly what Tulane needs to do. Try to pound the ball out, keep the offense on the field, move the ball, rattle the chains, if you will, for first downs, get that defensive unit off the ball or off the field, and maybe work yourself back in a position to be in this ball game.
That was Joe Ostazuski rather than Henry. Off play action. He has a receiver wide open in McIntosh, and he didn't see him downfield. And his tight end and Chuck Gorman drops the ball. Just before the play began, the ball was snapped. For Florida State, Chris Hall came running in, waving his arms, trying to get timeout called. McIntosh then proceeded to sprint down the field, no one within 20 yards of him. And Smith could never see it. And that's one of the reasons, mistakes like that Tulane has been held to 85 yards and Florida State has been a steamroller. In third down situations, the green wave is 0 for 4. 3rd and 4. Another sack. Oliver Strickland this time, the freshman right tackle from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The wave encircles Doak Campbell Stadium, while the green wave on the green grass is nearly out of gas. Down 31 zip. 9:25. Darren Smith to kick it away. His best effort has been at 34 yards against the intense rush, and Terrell Buckley back there runs away from it. It takes an FSU roll at the 32. Oh, here come the Seminoles once again. Leading by better than 30, off still another 34-yard punt. College football. Next Saturday, the Pitt Panthers and the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Well, West Virginia ran into it in Louisville, and Pitt had Syracuse this weekend, Florida State's next opponent. The kickoff at high noon from Mountaineer Field. Since the kickoff here, it's been all Florida State. Carter on the reverse to Baker. And taken down head high by Linzer Burton, the strong safety. The Noles have run the reverse 4 times this year and really haven't popped it big that I could recall, Keith.
No, Lewis, for the most part, Ronald Lewis has run it. He's averaged about 10 yards per attempt. Coach Bowden, known for the reverses and some of the other gadgetry plays, is now using Baker to try to work him into that thing. Ronnie Lewis known as the reverse guy.
Having passed for more than 1,000 yards this season in only 4 games, here's Willis looking deep. He's got Lewis at midfield. First down and out of bounds. That's a gain of 23 yards. Thornhill on the stop. When you have to throw from the far boundary to the near sideline, you better have an arm.
This ball is released about 2 seconds before Lewis makes his cut. You see Lewis running on the bottom of the screen. Now he makes his cut, and it's right there where he can receive it.
Ronald Lewis.
Gifted, extremely gifted baseball player as well. Spent his summer playing baseball.
Here comes the blitz. And against the blitz, Anthony out of bounds. Man coverage applied by Corey Dowden, the right cornerback, number 29. When he saw the blitz coming, he just lobbed it up there, and we'll play jump ball on the boundary.
Willis hasn't looked real sharp on a lot of their the lofty passes. Some of them been out of bounds, but he's looked real good on the ones he's thrown downfield.
We have him now unofficially with 301 yards passing, the identical total to what he finished with last weekend in Tiger Stadium. Holding call. Incomplete, intended for Dawsey at the Tulane 35, and it had to be holding the way the referee and Terry Monk threw the flag. And that's the call. That'll be the second holding call against Florida State in this first half.
that a 2nd and 10 play at midfield. It'll be interesting to see if Tulane chooses to accept the penalty or accept the down. The incompletion will bring up 3rd and 10.
The 4th time tonight Florida State's been penalized, a total of 40 yards.
They're going to choose the real estate.
Florida State in the first quarter with a Richie Andrews 29-yard field goal and a pair of Peter Tom Willis touchdown passes. One to Dossie of 30 yards. He threw a dozen yards to Anthony. Dexter Carter in the second quarter with a 1-yard jaunt. And Ampli with a 1-yard run. One-handed effort, and it comes up empty-handed for Ampli out of the backfield. He glides when he runs, doesn't he? And he has such super size at 6 feet, 190 pounds.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, they expect great things out of Ampli. Highly recruited running back out of high school.
He, in fact, lined up in the slot that time. A lot of things that Syracuse is going to have to think about when Dick McPherson and his staff review this film. The Noles, of course, with an open date before that one. Being chased. Willis gets it off to Bennett. Returns it upfield and fails to get back to the line of scrimmage. Andy Treadway, that's Paul Moore rather than Edgar Bennett. Andy Treadway is there, and Peter Tom barely escaped with the shirt on his back.
An indication that they did get a hand on it.
There's Terrence Strickland. And Charlie Ward. For a punt. It takes a Florida State roll. Now will be down inside the 25. The kick sails 42 yards without a return. Ward's best effort this evening. And with 7 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the first half, Darren Smith trots back out to the huddle. His green wave at low ebb, trailing 31-0. Five completions for the junior. He's been sacked twice and now 3 times. Odell Higgins, how do you do? Tulane center John Young. It's all he could do to keep Higgins out of there. You can hold a guy of that caliber for a while, but not forever.
You see Hayes gets good upfield pressure, forces Smith into the pocket. Higgins down the bottom and just grabs an ankle and hangs on.
Higgins, who can bench press 415 pounds, earned the sack. The third of the night. And incomplete the pass intended for the tight end Jeff Kinyo, the junior. Whereas Florida State's been quite effective in finding its tight ends this evening, the middle has not been there for Tulane.
Tulane has used the tight end in earlier games. Through 3 contests, their 2 tight ends had 12 receptions. Kinko had 7 of them. But Coach Davis and his group not being able to exploit that middle tonight.
3rd and 15 here. And Tulane is 0 for 5 in third down situations, yet to convert. Now 0 for 6 is a miscommunication. A pass went one way. Melvin Ferdinand, the wideout, number 80, went another. And a fine hand again for the Florida State defense. Terrell Buckley is yet to get his hands on the football, Keith.
Interesting, Buckley wears those gloves much like a base runner in baseball. He takes them off when he returns those punts.
Against the 10-man rush. Flag down. Buckley calls for and makes the fair catch. Alan Stewart leveled Darren Smith. Allen very nearly had the block. Instead, he ends up with a roughing the kicker call.
Stewart, who has been hurt, not played a lot, is known as a special teams player. This time takes an angle that just doesn't quite get him to the ball. Isolation look here. Watch the angle of Stewart. See, his angle was too shallow. A lot of people would say, well, yeah, he was blocked into the punter, but you can clearly see from the angle that he took off, he would have roughed the punter had the blocker not been there, therefore the penalty.
The 15-yard march off and a first down. That was Rod McDowell, number 11, the deep back, protecting the punter, and you might argue blocking Stewart into his kicker. None the worse for wear. Here comes Darren Smith, trailing 31-zip. Off the left side, across the 40 and up to the 41-yard line is Jonathan Pierce, the freshman fullback, the third fullback we've seen this evening for Tulane. Barre opened. Dennis has carried a half dozen times, and now Jonathan Pierce.
Well, Pierce carries a load with him as well. We've seen a lot of big fullbacks. He goes about 6'2", 220 pounds. Stumbles a little bit on his footing there, or might have headed upfield for a few more yards.
The lone setback. After a gain of 7, he'll get it again. Stacked up shy of the first down and driven back. Kelvin Smith was there, the strong side linebacker, the junior from Jacksonville. One of many. It's third down. Eric Hayes at the bottom of the pile. He has so much ability, doesn't he, Keith, from Tampa, the senior?
The only thing that limits Eric Hayes is himself. He can go anywhere and do anything that he wants to do on a football field if or when he makes up his mind to do it.
Third, and the Green Wave needs a yard to sustain the drive. It'll be close. On the carry, Michael Pierce, the tailback. They trapped on the right side, and yeah, that's enough. First down, Tulane.
Tulane on their last 2 possessions, whether you rule out the roughing the punter and include that as a good play, showing the ability to move the ball just a little bit. Greg Davis's group ability to move the ball in pieces. They just cannot afford to get over greedy.
Off the left side for about 4. Pierce again running wide. Pierce with great acceleration. His first action throughout this season. A great halftime show ahead. Marching Chiefs will be on at halftime. We'll be visiting with the Florida State's interim athletic director, Bob Goyne, to join Keith and I upstairs. We hope you'll stick around for that. 2nd and 5. They gave him 5 on the carry. And Harold Dennis now working the middle. Across midfield and down to the 48-yard line.
When you look at the Tulane Green Wave's 5 top running backs, you got 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores. One is senior back there is Michael Pierce. We're seeing a lot of action from Jonathan Pierce, and as you saw there, Harold Dennis. Quite a talented group of young players that Greg Davis and his group have to work with in the years to come.
As we near the 3-minute mark for Florida State, Leroy Butler has re-entered the game already with 2 interceptions. Chris Hall checks out, and it's a first down off a hard charging effort by Harold Dennis. Hey, he runs that thing north-south.
Tulane coming out with the 2 tight end set, 2 wide receivers, 1 back. You look at Coach Bowden there studying probably for the next offensive series, and they're just playing run and jam it up their football. As we said earlier, they're trying, I would think, to keep their defense off the field, i.e. Florida State's offense off the field, and now trying to use the clock and hopefully get some points and build a little momentum going into halftime.
Less than 3 minutes to go now. Dennis dragged down from behind by Hayes. How can a guy that big be that quick? Hayes off the line of scrimmage, exploded and wrapped him up around the ankle, setting up 2nd down and 10. No gain on the play.
That's the form that Florida State coaches were hoping that Hayes would come back into at the beginning of two-a-days, at the beginning of fall workouts. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and he's just now rounding himself into playing form.
Tulane has taken a timeout with 2:28 remaining. Will step aside as well. Your score in Tallahassee, Florida State 31, visiting Tulane, nothing. Coming up at halftime from sold-out Doak Campbell Stadium on the campus of Florida State, Interim Athletic Director Bob Goy will join us in the booth. We'll take a look at the first half stats as well. Back to live action. Coming off their own timeout, Tulane. And it's Darren Smith going to the boundary, or looking that way, for Jerry Urson, the freshman flanker. And the clock rolls. Florida State with 3 timeouts remaining in this half. And as Urson, number 2, trots off, will tell you that the Greenies have to themselves. Keith, you were flipping through the record book there, and it's been a while since Tulane, usually a high-scoring team, if not always victorious, it's been a while since they've been held scoreless.
Not since 1977, some 130 games.
Flipping it out of the backfield, this is Barre. Inside the 40, he's got the sideline at the 30. And pounding his way inside the 25 to the 23. Dedrick Dodge with the hit, but not before number 20 turns it into a 20-yard run.
Don't get a look at it from the end zone, just a little flare pattern. He's got a tackle upfield leading him, and you're going to see Barre at 203 pounds just say, well, I'm going to get upfield. And Dedrick Dodge takes the brunt of the punishment.
Barre on the night. That was his first reception. Good for 20 yards. He's also carried 5 times for 14. Malone setback. We go sideline, and it is dropped. Coming up was Dodge. It was intended for Jerry Urson. Obviously, he heard footsteps. That was Errol McCorvey rather than Dedrick Dodge, the sophomore. Defensively there. Urson was open, banged right off the 2.
Urson doing what, unfortunately, all too many people do. When they hear that footsteps, they try to run before they catch the ball.
Tony, wide right. Trips formation to the left side. Deflected, incomplete, nearly intercepted. As Ferdinand, the intended receiver, was well covered over the middle. It's 3rd and long.
See Anthony Moss there. I believe he was the one that actually got his hand on the ball. At 6'4", kind of clogs that middle up a little bit.
Only 1 third down conversion in 9 tries. Comes the play from the sideline. Coach Greg Davis sending in Urson with the play. And Urson trots out to the top of your screen. And when he gets out there, he calls timeout. Tulane has used its 2nd timeout to stop the clock with 1:04. They tried to stop the clock. It's still running. They called timeout with 1:07 showing, and it continued to tick down to 59 seconds.
A lot of times the quarterback will come up and call the timeout in that situation because he doesn't like what he's seen. That particular case, Smith walked to the line. I believe he only had about 6 seconds left on the 25-second clock, and that's what dictated and necessitated the timeout call.
17 points in the first half for Florida State. Nearly equaled by 14, or in the first quarter rather, nearly equaled by 14 here in the second quarter. And the fervor of all that early scoring has abated somewhat. This crowd has calmed down, sitting back and just taking it all in now. As Florida State leads by a mile at 31-0 as we near halftime.
There you see the 3rd down conversions. Florida State coming into the ball game converting about 50%. See 1 for 4 there. Tulane starting out about 0 for 6 and has since raised their total to 4 out of 11.
The football rests at the Florida State 22-yard line. And with the clock now reset, with 1:13 to go in the first half. Certainly one could argue that it's important for Tulane to punch it into the end zone. Tennis your way, Sunday, October 1st, the Bay Point Collegiate Tournament. I'll be there from Bay Point, Alabama, 12 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Sunshine Network. Coach Dick Leach from Southern Cal will join us as well. The man in motion is Urson. Smith to throw. Here comes the rush. He fires. Urson has it at the 10 to the 7-yard line. Nice route, Keith. The stutter off the motion and then coming back to the middle. And there was a ferocious rush that buried Smith after he got it away.
Florida State coming with pressure that time and man coverage, and as motion will do when you're in man coverage, allowed the receiver to work away from the defender. Completion.
Looking for the end zone. Anthony Moss plowed the ball free. Odell Higgins fell on it. And the quarterback, Smith, is still on the ground.
Folks, this is why NFL quarterbacks get played so much and why college quarterbacks are so highly thought of. Looking left, looking left, looking left. Watch ahead. Oh, that hurts all the way up here. Not from the blind side, from the front side, but when the quarterback is looking away, it's just as vulnerable as if it came from behind. 230 pounds at about a 4.7 pace coming at you is going to result in some damage. Smith's still down.
His offensive line had protected him impeccably through the first 3 games this year, not allowing a sack. He's been sacked 3 times, and now this hit.
Watch the head. Watch Smith's head. That's what you hate to see. That's why quarterbacks, when hit from the backside, oftentimes suffer those neck and shoulder injuries. That time, typically in a hit like that, Smith would just be dazed, and fortunately doesn't appear he's hurt seriously.
That's where he emphasized the great size he has at 6'4". He's 6'4", 222.
Hello! Not the way you wanted to be welcome to Tallahassee.
Over the middle. It's Bruce Lassay to the 44-yard line. The Noles with 44 seconds remaining and leading 31-0. An opportunity to run your late game offense. Over the middle again, and intercepted, deflected off the shoulder pads of Paul Moore. It's Tulane's football, intercepted by Brad Gidry, the outside linebacker. It hit Paul Moore right in the hands. And Brad Gidry was more than happy to cradle it in.
Junior plays most of the time behind number 40 for Tulane. Visit Mulmore, who hasn't seen a lot of action. Actually the starter, but Gidry in there for a lot of snaps in this first half, comes up with the interception.
The first interception surrendered by Florida State. The second time the Noles have turned it over. 36 seconds to go. We have a new quarterback in the game. Jerome Woods firing incomplete at the 39-yard line. His pass intended for Michael Pierce. The quarterback, Jerome Woods, number 16, is a 6'3", 210-pound sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. One of 3 quarterbacks who have traveled with Tulane here to Tallahassee this evening. The other is Billy Duncan, important only in the fact that should the quarterbacking corps continue to take hits the like of Smith, Mr. Duncan will get in the game soon. Murray out of the backfield, across midfield to the 46-yard line. Odell Higgins, the nose tackle, reacted well, ran him down. And there's timeout taken.
Tulane takes their final timeout. As you look at Higgins there, this defensive unit for Florida State putting in an extremely good showing here in the first half, something that they have, quite honestly, Paul, very much needed.
So Tulane has exhausted theirs, and the Seminoles with 3 remaining. It's Houston and Cincinnati. Will Tommy Helms get the full-time job? He's the interim manager for the Reds. Will he in 1990? Sunday, October 1st, the final day of the regular season, and we'll have it for you from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, 2 o'clock, the first pitch of the afternoon. Strohs and the Reds. Here it's 31-0 Florida State. With just 21 seconds remaining. And we're ready to go. Florida State's played a lot of people this evening in the first half too, Keith, both offensively and defensively. Wood's very first action of this his sophomore year. He's 0 for 1. Now 0 for 2. The pass intended for James Toney. There defensively was Kirk Carruthers, the linebacker. 0 for 3, pardon me.
When you look at Woods and you compare him to Deron Smith, they had a great heated battle in spring and in the first part of the fall, and Smith came out the victor. There's not a great drop-off in the quarterbacking talent when Woods comes in.
There's Jerome McIntosh, a wide receiver. Actually, Woods does have one completion for 6 yards. And Jerome's numbers were even better than Darren Smith's were in spring practice. The coaching staff really could, and they have said this, could flip a coin and pick one. They opted to go with Smith, and Greg Davis says he's a one-quarterback coach. Just plays one.
That one which he picks, he stays with.
Well, it'll be live from the mountains, the Shenandoahs of Virginia for Florida State and Virginia Tech. That is 12 o'clock noon. Join us. The Hokies and the Noles, Saturday, October 14th.
Blacksburg, not a place that Florida State traditionally plays well at. Difficulties in years prior over that good, heated rivalry and tradition. Looking forward to it.
Florida State has taken the timeout here to stop the clock with 17 seconds to go. The entire defensive unit coming to the sideline. Talking to Chuck Abada, Jim Gladden, and now being dispatched back onto the field. Now Darren Smith shaken up earlier, unable to punt. Jerome McIntosh will have to do it for him. With the left foot, no one back for Florida State. And the ball bounds into the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20 with 9 seconds remaining. So with the big hit on Smith, you lose not only your quarterback, but your first-string punter. But a fine effort of 46 yards without a return by Jerome McIntosh, who proves he's quite versatile, too.
Not a bad-looking punt at all.
Peter Tom Willis back onto the field, and his numbers have been outstanding. 324 yards. And not one, but 2 touchdowns. One to Dossie, one to Anthony. This should be the final play of the half. Ampley spinning ahead to the 30-yard line. And that'll do it. We've played 30 minutes of this one. And this record crowd in Tallahassee loves it. 61,000 plus cheers as Florida State has charged to a 31-0 lead. Our halftime show and 2 quarters of football ahead. Stay tuned. We'll be back. The second half set to unfold, and Florida State leading 31-0. A look at the numbers, Keith.
Not a lot of surprises when you score 31 points and the offense scores, the opponent scores none. Should be up, and there you see them.
The second half kickoff is in the air, and here comes Terrence Strickland, the sophomore. Cuts back to his left, comes across the 20, and is called down at the 25-yard line. On the stop, Leon Fowler, the reserve free safety for Florida State. A return of 25 yards for young Mr. Strickland. And back into the fray, Darren Smith. And I wouldn't have given you a plum nickel for his chances, Keith, coming back into the game after the shot that he took in the first half.
Showing a lot of character and a lot of guts to come back, that's for sure.
Anthony Moss nearly decapitated it. The first play of the second half, he'll keep it on the ground. Harold Dennis works the left side and runs for a couple. Dennis was the top ground gainer for Tulane in the first half, 8 carries for 25 yards. Kirk Carruthers, who had a big first half defensively for Florida State, led the charge for FSU.
Obviously, it's going to be interesting to watch what Tulane does offensively. I would tend to think they might try to keep it on the ground, use up that clock, try to get a little momentum going, and keep that ball away from FSU's offense.
On 2nd and 7, looking to his tight end, Jeff Quino, at the 28-yard line, defending Kevin Grant. The pass is incomplete. And when you mention Grant, you need to mention the fact that Florida State has its starting defense in there and now shifts into the nickel set. Adding Buckley, the extra defensive back. You see McCorvey there, too, along with Dedrick Dodge. In an obvious passing situation, 3rd and 7.
Tulane doing a good job that time. Good call. The receiver not open. Throw the ball out of bounds. Good, safe, controlled pass.
4 wideouts. Set to go on the pattern. Tony in motion. Smith over the middle. Caught but shy of a first down by Tony. A good effort there with the defender and McCorvey right on his back. And Tulane will have to punt.
Tony not running his pattern quite deep enough to pick up the first down. When you work on that crossing pattern underneath and it's a 3rd down play, the receiver's responsibility to position himself in first down territory. Tony unable to do it that time.
Gain 7. There's Terrell Buckley, who stays in the game.
This time with gloves on.
2 gloves on. Aaron Smith to put the right foot into it. This one's nearly blocked. Corian Freeman ran right under him. A very short punt. This one sailed maybe 10, 11 yards past the line of scrimmage. Officially 12. And the Seminoles take over at the Tulane 46. Corian Freeman actually ran under the extended leg of the punter in Smith.
Well, Smith 6'4", Freeman about 6'3". Smith had to be up off the ground for Freeman to get underneath him.
There is Peter Tom Willis, and the first half numbers were overwhelming. 324 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns. He wants to throw, and throw he does. And it's low and behind Edgar Bennett. Incomplete.
Look for Florida State to probably stay with Willis on this series. If Florida State's successful putting points on the board, look for Casey Weldon to see some action early in the 3rd quarter.
Peter Tom Willis, of course, needing only 188 yards this evening to reach 1,000. He does it in 4 games, 1,000 yards plus this year. It's the fastest of any quarterback since Kelly Lowry, way back in '83. It comes so far, so fast. Over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Anthony. I don't see a flag. Good defense, Mike Riley, the corner.
Not sure if Riley got a hand on it, but he had good position as he trailed, which the corner has to do on that slant pattern. Close enough to make a difference, and the pass falls incomplete.
Riley, who was picked on a time or 2 in the first half, makes his presence felt there. And after enjoying good field position following the poor punt of only 12 yards, it's 3rd and 10 now, and the Noles have to go a ways to keep it. Willis set to do so. And he misfires looking for Lewis, who had broken away from Riley. A flag down, however, back behind the line of scrimmage at the Seminole 48.
In the place that normally signifies some type of offensive line call, holding, the predominant case.
The referee, Terry Monk.
Personal foul and an ejection. Someone just got thrown out.
I did not see who was sent to the sideline. It may have been Robert Stevenson, the split tackle, the freshman, number 52. He started this evening on the offensive line. He's the youngest lineman.
Penalty decline. If you could read the lips there of Terry Monk, 52 Stevenson was the call. He is ejected. We'll see if we can get a look at it. He should be right there in the middle of your screen, possibly.
Well, didn't see it. It's punting time now for Florida State, and that means Charlie Ward. The first time he went to punt this evening, Gene Haupt hiked it all the way to New Orleans. And Charlie had to scramble for his life, but has since settled down, and he puts that right foot into it and booms this one. Inside the 20, trying to kill it in the corner, did a pretty good job. No return, out of bounds, 17-yard line. Tulane in possession, a 37-yard effort without a return. His shortest kick this evening for Charlie.
Ward's been the recipient of some good bounces. His numbers are going to look good in the paper Sunday morning, but they weren't very picturesque.
The net punting, the thing. And as Darren Smith joins the huddle, that 6'4", 222-pound junior. You know, he missed Wednesday's practice for Tulane with migraine headaches. And then he'll have a migraine after that Moss hit tomorrow morning.
Well, the fact that he did miss it as he throws short and outside on that first down play, that he did miss practice on Wednesday, certainly had to race through Coach Baker's mind when he took that hit later in the second quarter.
That was Michael Pierce, the tailback, a fine all-purpose back, ranking 6th in the NCAA. Tulane's top receiver coming into this one. It's top rusher, too. And they're settling in as Jonathan Pierce. No relation. On second down. Cracked and back you go. Sterling Palmer, number 55. Shakes up this crowd a bit, along with Jonathan Pierce. What a specimen with a tremendous future, Sterling Palmer.
Watch him fill the hole right here. Number 55, actually from the backside. Carruthers helping to fill the hole, or Ostrudowski rather, 74 instead of 47. An excited young man, 6'6", 240 pounds plus, and runs faster than I ever dreamed about.
Yeah, he stunned his teammates in practice. He stood still and did a complete flip and landed on his feet. And he's 6'6". The athleticism that he possesses. Smith with nice touch, has it picked off over the middle. The third Seminole interception. Bryce Abbott, the strong safety, with his first career interception.
Great read by Abbott. Hasn't seen a great deal of playing time. Played some in the LSU ball game. Just a super read. Watch him right in the middle of your screen. Watch him read the quarterback. He breaks up well before the ball's thrown. Steps right in front of the receiver. Great picture right there of how you read in zone coverage the quarterback's eyes and move where he moves, or go to the area that he's looking at.
You're a defensive back. You remember that first one, don't you?
Oh, I sure do.
First and goal, Seminoles. Peter Tom Willis. He's setting up the screen. There he was. It's incomplete. They were going to run the screen. As you see the gold handkerchief down there on first and goal from the 8.
Terry Monk give us a call here on the penalty.
No flag. The pass was behind the line of scrimmage.
Evidently an interference type of call. And because the pass was behind the line of scrimmage, you can't have pass interference.
A good look at the crowd that's here this evening. The action from ground level. And Tulane backed up to its own goal line, trailing 31-0. On the draw, they run a screen and a draw, and Carter scores! Away. Carter thinks he scored. And yeah, they'll get him the touchdown. Lost the ball just as it crossed the goal line. His second TD.
Nothing real fancy. Watch him slide back to Willis. Willis hands him the ball. Yeomans gets out on a good block, and then he gets, I think, across the end line.
A one official signal touchdown. One did not. Richie Andrews out of Brad Johnson's hole. Gene Haupt with the snap, and it's perfection again. Bobby Bowden was concerned about his kicking game. His kicking game, like his offense and his defense, has been superb. It's Florida State 38 and Tulane nothing. The interception by Bryce Abbott, setting up first and goal. And what about the play calling? You run a screen pass and then a draw. Carter scores off the draw.
Well, you got a lot of momentum going. The first series, Florida State didn't do very well, had the punt. Second series over a big interception. You are thinking offensively that defensively Tulane is going to try to set up for the quick kills. And Florida State coaches expecting that. Therefore, they go with the delay tactic, the screen pass, which was incomplete, and then the draw to Carter, who did a great job working his way in the middle behind Yeoman's block and then heading up to the outside for the 6.
I see. That is a 12-second possession. The Noles have had a 53-second possession. They have had a 21-second possession. And if Mark Batchelor, our statistician, is correct here, and he always is, they've also had one that was 40 seconds plus.
Well, Tulane controlled the ball in the first half. 18, almost 19 minutes time of possession to Florida State's 11 minutes. So sometimes that statistic is extremely misleading, especially when you put points on the board in 40 and 12 and 21.
Here's Andrews. And Pierce, 5 yards into the end zone, has to down it, and he does. The third quarter opens as the second quarter ended. And Tulane, in the wrong place, the wrong time tonight, a Florida State team that earned a great victory last week at LSU in Tiger Stadium, and a team which owns an unblemished record of 6 victories on paper over Tulane in Florida State, although they've been beaten on the field once in the Wally English affair, cost Tulane a win in '83, but Florida State dominating Tulane here tonight. The big hit for Florida State by Keith Carter.
Paul, that's what's known in Florida State's defense as the fast read. The linebacker to the side of the play has what's called the fast read. The linebacker on the backside has the slow read. Carter, that time, as we get an isolation on Barry there, Carter gets the fast read, steps up behind the guard, lowers his shoulder. Look at his head. His head's on the outside, driving the ball carrier inside to help. Makes a great stop for little or no gain.
The senior from Miami. Little option that time. Harold Dennis. Good-looking run for a first down. The first time we have seen the quarterback try and attract the defense to him and Darren Smith, and then option it off to Harold Dennis.
When talking with the Tulane folks, they characterize or describe their offense with Smith leading them as drop-back passing and option. 11:03 on a rolling clock in the third quarter. That's the first time we've seen the option.
Trailing 36-0. Smith, the deep handoff. Dennis tripped up as he came across the line of scrimmage. Reaching out with the right hand is Oliver Strickland, the right tackle. Oliver, a freshman, 6'3", 277, had a big play in the first half as well. And there is Dennis with respectable numbers, and he did not start this evening. There will be better days ahead for Tulane. Their next outing next weekend is with Big 8 member Iowa State. Barre to midfield. Stanley Barre behind the block of the right guard, Fred Plunkett, the 267-pound senior, and Mike Millich, the right tackle at 260, found a hole he liked.
Tulane big across the front, Paul, 275, 257. Their center, Young, is 265. You're going to see him attack the right side of that Florida State defense. A great block, as you said, by Plunkett to get Carruthers out of there, and Barre just works it up in there behind him.
Out of the air and on the roll, and it's tipped and nearly intercepted. Billy Reagans thought he would have the 4th Seminole interception of the night, as the pass was intended for James Toney at the 36-yard line. Smith is 0 for 5 in the second half. cannot find a receiver.
Trips to the right side. Smith's going to just work his way out, deliver the ball. Reagans makes a good break on the ball, steps in front of Tony. The ball's kicked up in the air by McCorvey, looks like, and very well could have been intercepted on the rebound.
Urson, wide left. McIntosh to the near side right. On second and needing 10. Too high. Intended for McIntosh. Good way to get him killed out there, too, or rather Bari. And Reagans, when Bari stretched out for it on a poorly thrown ball, Reagans, who had a big hit to open this game, to set the tone for the secondary, had a big one there, too.
Reagan's doing Bari a favor that time by kind of laying off of him, looked like, because anytime you get those tight ends or receivers out of the backfield over the middle and the ball over their head, DB's eyes light up.
Third down conversions have been few and far between for Tulane. Buying time on the scramble, open field. Across the 40, first down. And down to the 36-yard line. A fine run by Darren Smith. Leroy Butler came up from the secondary to make the tackle. Peter Tom Willis could admire efforts like that. He's had to scramble a time or two. I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the game.
Smith just drops back 7. Secondary doing a good job of covering his receivers, and then he shows that athleticism. He's 6'4", 222. Now, the one thing he needs to learn to do is get out of bounds. When you're that wide open, let's take it to the sideline.
At the 36. Quick release, incomplete. Chuck Gorman, the tight end, number 87, the man he was searching, but he had to go through Howard Dinkins, the Jacksonville sophomore, number 89. Wasn't there, and all he can do is shake his head. He has but one completion now in the second half. In 7 tries, he's thrown for 106 yards, 9 completions tonight.
Notice that Bobby does not have his headsets on. You can do that when you're up 38 zip.
Won't be too long. The quarterbacking corps will be calling their own plays. Another option. This time the pitch, Strickland. 8-yard gain, maybe a 9-yard gain.
As we said, we haven't seen a lot of it. That time, just the second time in tonight's telecast and ball game. But you could see by the way Smith pitched the ball in front of Strickland to lead him upfield. Not the first time that young man's ever run the option.
Dedrick Dodge, the free safety. Odell Higgins, the nose tackle. Strong up the middle. On the stop. 9 minutes remaining, 3rd and 1. We're in the third quarter. 38-0, Florida State. A team out of the top 20 for the first time since 1986, playing as if it's in a true intent frame of mind to get back there among America's elite. It's a first down. On the carry, Barry.
This is a fine drive by Tulane. They've used the run and the option very well. They haven't been as successful passing, but on the ground they've been able to move the ball. You see Barry working in there behind his offensive line. Only needed 1, probably got 1.5 or 2. Converts the first down, keeps the drive alive.
1st and 10 at the 25. The longest sustained march of the night for Tulane. And it's Barry inside the 20, the 15, close to the 10. That was the 11th play of a drive which began back at Tulane's 20-yard line, and it's a 14-yard gain off the left side for Stanley Barre.
Howard Dinkins of Florida State, number 89, not blocked at all. Takes a rush that's too far upfield. Barre sees it, cuts back inside. He's in the open field, converts the first down.
The flanker Urson to the near side right. Slot right formation. The option, Smith keeps and takes a licking inside the 10 at the 8-yard line. You see Higgins there. Henry Ostrozewski, the sophomore. Kirk Carruthers, too, the linebacker.
Longest sustained time that Florida State's defense has had to stay on the field. Coach Davis's offense, longest time they've been on the field in a sustained drive, and a very good-looking drive, Paul.
Most certainly is, with 7.5 minutes remaining in the third. On 2nd and 7. To the air. Throwing. Incomplete. Yep, caught. Caught for a touchdown by James Tulane. The back judge, Paul Jones, signaled it incomplete when he made the catch, and yet changed his mind. You may see him in the background waving his arms incomplete following this grab.
Hard to tell from that angle, but looks good. Makes a good job, does Tony, of getting out, stretching out for the ball, and then he turns his back to the defender so he can cradle it in.
Well, Tulane can hold some solace in the fact that it will not be shut out, but the kicking game betrays him. Todd Wiggins has it blocked. Blocked by Calvin Smith. Timeout on the field, 7:20 to go in the third. Florida State 38, Tulane 6. The NBA comes to Central Florida. The Orlando Magic in their very first game ever against the world champion Detroit Pistons. We'll have it all for you right here. Our pregame show from courtside at 7:30, the opening tap at 8 on the Sunshine Network. A fine drive, 80 yards, 13 plays, 4 minutes, 32 seconds. Capped by Smith hurling 7 yards to Tony. It'll be down at the 20. Florida State calling for the fair catch, some contact. The crowd thinking that there should be a personal foul call. There was not. Chris Hall handled it. The best effort this evening, Keith, for Tulane.
Oh, by far, a very nicely executed play. Brought the option in, which we knew they had the capabilities of running, but had not utilized it in the first half. Ate up some clock, put some points on the board.
A new quarterback for Florida State. The sophomore, Casey Weldon, number 11, from right here in Tallahassee, settles under center. The bootleg. And now to throw. And throwing deep and looking for Baker. We may have offensive pass interference, too, for as Baker tried to make his move back to the inside to catch the ball, he shoved the defensive back down.
You're going to get a good look at it. Isolation on Baker. Looks inside and then just takes off. The ball's in the air about now. The ball had a lot of loft on it. Watch Baker. He's just going to push. It didn't appear quite as bad on tape as it did in live, but nevertheless, I think a good call. And then, worst of all, he lets the ball go right through his hands.
John Eason, the wide receiver coach, will give him 2 minuses on that. Casey Weldon coming into this one 2 of 5 on the year, 30 yards, 1 touchdown. Physically, 6'1", 194 of good size. North Florida Christian Academy.
Great program that North Florida Christian has here in Tallahassee. Smaller school, 2A school in Florida rankings, but Casey did it all while he was there. Played baseball.
You see number 61, Eric Gibbs, a freshman as well. The split tackle. 6'5", 295. Set to this side. It is second down. And 20. Edgar Bennett cradling the ball and getting 5, 6 of those.
Going to get a good look, I think, of a baby, a freshman, number 61 right there on your screen. 6'5", 295, and just a babe.
A mere child. Gave him but 2 on that carry. My mistake. Twin receivers to the top of your screen, and Lewis will come in motion this way. Weldon throwing from his own end zone. Fires it. By
just sit back and relax. You're going to see athletic ability by Weldon and an Amp Lee. We talked about it earlier. Parker suspended. Amp Lee, the freshman, out of the panhandle area, makes a cut back to the sideline, possesses great speed for a man his size, right at 200 pounds. And when you talk to Florida State coaches, they cannot contain their enthusiasm over that young man.
10 Florida State players this evening have caught passes. 3 of them have gone for touchdowns. No longer than the 88-yarder. The penalty against Tulane to be assessed perhaps in the ensuing kickoff. The extra point was converted by Florida State. And John Eason on your left, the coach, talking to Casey Weldon. They can laugh about it now, but he was in all kinds of trouble when he was scrambling around in his own end zone.
Well, not only that, he dropped back into his end zone. The play was designed, of course, for a screenplay. It turned out a little more exciting than that. And there again, Florida State taking only 1 minute and 8 on a drive. 88 of those yards coming on the reception by Amp Lee.
The longest touchdown pass of Weldon's career, and Amp Lee in his first action. The first time he touched the ball on the ground, he scored. The first time he caught a pass, he went 88 yards and scored.
See a nice stride on him. He's got, like I say, he's a little over 6 feet, right at 200 pounds, carries himself well, runs well, has good upfield vision. The Florida State coaches literally cannot contain themselves when they talk about this young man. And the same for Casey Weldon. One of the few married players on Florida State's team, actually a father. Very, very mature, ready to step into the shoes there for number 4, Willis, just as soon as PT graduates.
If you're wondering what the longest pass was in Seminole history, Keith, you'd remember those fellas.
1976. Some names from the past. Jimmy Jordan to Kurt Unglaub. 96 yards versus Virginia Tech.
I promise you their hearts were thumping just like Amp's was when he was running.
You know, when Bowden, excuse me, Paul, when Bowden came to Florida State in 76, in the last 4 or 5 ball games, they had 3 touchdown plays over 90 yards.
This is Michael Pierce. Pierce across the 20, 25, 27-yard line.
Pierce on the run back.
The return of 21 yards. Take another look at Amp Lee turning on the afterburners and emphasize, too, the trouble that Weldon was in.
Well, Weldon drops back. Nothing's free, so he runs outside, delivers the ball to Lee. And then Lee just does a good job of getting through 3 defenders, and then it's off to the races. And I tell you, there's not very many defensive backs in the country that I think are going to catch this young man in the open field.
From Chipley High School on the reverse toning. Carruthers is there. Incidentally, this pass ties for the 5th longest in Florida State history, this 88-yarder.
What do they say about a pitcher speaking 1,000 words? Gosh, I wish I could have run that fast.
A rushing touchdown and a reception for a score, and he's touched the ball twice. Aaron Smith, 9 of 26. Nowhere in the world for Jonathan Pierce to go. It'll be 3rd and short. Chris Hall, the left cornerback, held his ground well, number 41. He's a hard-nosed corner. You got to be to play that position.
Hall not seeing, I don't believe, any action up until this point. Freshman out of Cocoa High School there in Cocoa Beach. Has good size for a corner at 6'1".
Needing 3, they say. And they pounded the big hit by Brad Lundstrom. Reserve outside linebacker as Bobby Bowden has an opportunity to go well into his depth chart.
Yours is a lot deeper than mine. Lundstrom, the man-to-man coverage. Lundstrom comes off of his man and catches the backside of Terrence there and brings him down and short of the first down, fourth down. No, excuse me, it was a first down.
They got a few on it. Sure, too. Lundstrom, a freshman from Naples, 6'5", 228. Big hole, and driving to midfield is Pierce. He a freshman, too. That's a 9-yard effort off the right side, and Lundstrom is there a second time.
Lundstrom on the stop.
So all sorts of fresh faces for Florida State defensively with 4:24 remaining in the third. So a full quarter to follow. Smith deep. And he overshoots Tony, the senior.
A little bit of a waist down, second and less than a yard. Smith decides to go downtown. Leon Fowler for Florida State doing a good job of playing the middle safety and reading the ball. And Smith showing that strong arm that he possesses. There's Fowler.
From Fort Myers, he too a first-year player. That's a first down carry, cracking across the field and driving into Seminole territory is Jonathan Pierce. Between Barre and Pierce and Harold Dennis, that's a fine fullback corps.
I think that they have a great future ahead of them. Pierce again at 6'2", 220 pounds. Quite a load. Does a good job of just easing in behind his offensive lineman, picking up that 2 or 3 or 4 yards. In that particular time, enough necessary for the first down.
Look out. Down he goes. May have been stepped on by a teammate. He stumbled away from center. Odell Higgins watching as we are the way.
Good intermingling of starters and second and even third team people. Mickey Andrews and his staff on the defensive side of Florida State, getting people in there with different combinations, giving people experience.
Trips to the left side on second and very long. Out of the backfield, Pierce. And out it comes.
Pierce on the reception.
When you give young guys an opportunity to play, guys like Chris Hall, they're going to lay it all out.
A lot of times, too, Paul, the young guys with that enthusiasm will spur the older guys along. Florida State defensively not having a great punch the first 3 games, showing some signs of it in the LSU game, and sometimes things like that breed upon one another.
Urson and Ferdinand to the top of your screen. Smith looking that way and misses connections with a very well-covered Jerry Urson. There's nowhere to throw it. Errol McCorvey was there. And even though trailing 45-6, Tulane must give it back. Terrell Buckley still looking for his first return. A guy who is a threat to go the distance based strictly on speed. When you can cover 40 yards in less than 4.4. As Buckley, the freshman, can, averaging close to 28 yards a return, but they've been kicking it away from him tonight. The last punt sailed only 12 yards for Smith. And he kicks it right out of bounds this time. Another very short punt. Good for only 18 yards. Timeout on the field. We'll return following this word from Albertsons. Albertsons Food and Drug. Back to live action. Florida State with the football and the lead. And Ham please. Well, he gets up and says, what's this? I don't score when I touch the football?
For the first time tonight, had his hands on the pigskin and didn't put it in for 6.
Lead 3 carries, 18 yards, and a touchdown. 45-6, Florida State. And Weldon coming off that 88-yard touchdown completion to Lee. Hands the ball to the freshman, and he knifes across the 40 and up to the 44-yard line. Peter Tom Willis finishes the night with 324 yards in the air, and Weldon with 88. You add those two numbers together, and it tells you that Florida State is nearing the single-game record of 508 yards passing by a team in one game. They have 412 right now as a team. That record's within reach. Dossey's second touchdown reception. And for the Noles, their 4th TD pass. Weldon second.
Isolation look, man coverage. You saw 42 for Tulane run out. Goes up, brings down the ball. When you get man coverage and post routes over the middle and an over-the-shoulder to catch, those 3 things equal 6.
468 yards passing alone for Florida State against Tulane. An injured Green Wave player who we have yet to identify as the band plays on.
We don't get an opportunity often, Paul, to talk about the Marching Chiefs, but boy, they add such excitement to a Florida State football game. Again, over-the-shoulder catch on a post and man coverage is going to be 6 points 9 times out of 10. That's just great concentration, and the end result, 56 yards on down the field.
Dossey had 1 touchdown thus far this year. He has now scored 2 and has 107 yards through the air. He was tied with Anthony for the team lead. Another minuscule drive in terms of time. A stopwatcher. You set your stopwatch when these guys go on the attack. 1 minute and 16 seconds. The Pistons and the Magic. They won't be going up and down the court any faster than the Noles have been blistering the green grass here. Friday, October 13th, the first tip-off in the history of the Magic. Join us live at courtside at 7:30. And then the Bruise brothers take on the Magic at 8. 52-6. It's the first time since the Louisiana Tech game, Keith, that the Noles have scored this many points. And the last time that Tulane was here in 1987, the Noles scored 73 and 54 the year before that. Tulane's going to quit coming to town.
Well, they're going to wish they could quit coming. Tulane and Florida State have a home-and-home series already signed through 93 and will continue probably into the year 2000. Of that 52 points, Florida State has scored 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns, Paul, with 4 minutes and 40 seconds having expired on the game clock.
6 touchdowns in
drives. 6 touchdown drives
in less than 5 minutes aggregate. A big play night. And Casey Weldon with third-quarter touchdown passes. As you see, a very happy Lawrence Dossey from Dothan, Alabama. The junior, the lone underclassman in the Fab Four.
You'll notice also his reception to touchdown ratio. If I remember correctly, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, he had 14 receptions last year, 7 of which went for touchdowns. When he touches the ball, 6 points isn't far away.
Richie Andrews, who's handled placements exclusively this evening, the left fitter. End over end, and here comes Strickland. At the 15, and to the 20. And the greeting committee ending a 17-yard jaunt. And Grady Ross taking over for one Dion, now wearing number 2 on the staff. This is one of those games, Keith, where a team like Florida State can quit talking about who's gone and who's not. Guys like Sammy Smith, Deion Sanders, that's finally behind you now.
The Tomberlins of the world. Their people are really maturing and playing well in this particular contest.
Person, even though it was low but catchable, could not come up with it. Buckley there. You see Buckley and Reagans. A lot of fresh faces there.
Stan Shiver gone. Gabbard on the defensive line.
Hey, Stan Shiver was a guy who would just as soon hit you as talk to you on the field.
Off the field would just as soon give you the shirt off his back than to even stand in your way.
What a great football player he was. 45 seconds to go, as you see in the lower right corner of your screen. That's in the third quarter. We got a full quarter remaining. Stanley Barre sprinting for his line at the 26. Good run support by Buckley. The freshman getting some action. Out there to, Reggie Freeman, outside linebacker, a freshman from Clewiston.
Excuse me, Paul. Barry running a long way to pick up about 6.
There you see a 6'3", 240-pound freshman at number 97, Reggie Freeman. Third and 3, possession snap. Barre hucked the first down, needed to cross the 30 to earn it. And where the ball is spotted, he'll come up short. And here comes the punting team. Indeed, oh, about the length of the football shot. And Smith will no longer punt. Jerome McIntosh will now kick. There's one thing they've done well. Let's keep it out of the hands of Terrell Buckley. The Noles have a 10-man rush set the trigger off the line of scrimmage.
McIntosh's only other punt, a good punt.
Well, they won't be able to get it off. We go to the fourth and final quarter. The first 3 belong to Florida State. Here comes the fourth right after this. Terrell Buckley set to open the fourth quarter on the receiving end of a Jerome McIntosh and Tulane punt. Look at those numbers, won't you? Here's McIntosh. His only effort tonight was a 47 yards against a 10-man rush. Nearly blocked by Alan Stewart. It was not. Buckley for the first time. Great speed. A close goal to the 30, the 20, the 17. A 36-yard punt bested by a 48-yard return.
Folks, when it comes to punt returns, it's not going to be long before Florida State looks at number 27, Terrell Buckley, and says, Dion who, punt return-wise? In time, maybe he'll even be as good defensively. Watch the moves and watch the concentration. Watch the concentration. Watch how he sets blocks up. Work outside, cut back in it. Sees people back to the inside, goes that way. Watch the step out.
I'll get it for you in a moment. Weldon. Thinking end zone. Dan Roberts, who had one taken away from him in the first half, is redeemed in the fourth quarter. That's the 5th touchdown strike of the game for Florida State quarterbacks.
Pretty touch on this pass, right over the shoulders. Roberts watching it all the way in. He gets his back, Paul.
Casey Weldon has 3 completions. All 3 have gone for touchdowns. One to Darcy, one to Lee, one to Roberts, and Richie Andrews with 8 extra points.
Again, another look at Buckley's punt return. Watch him set people up. Watch him set his blockers up. Works outside, sets Diedrich Dodge up, then cuts back inside him, finds people inside. Watch his plant and move out right there. Kicks it back outside, and then it's off to the races. Watch him slow up and set some people down. One of the things he's known for, he points. He points who he wants people to block. If not for the kicker, McIntosh, would have been 6. Again, a look at the touchdown to Roberts. Not a real pretty pass, but right on the money, right over the shoulder. Might have not been pretty in the air, but the end result's what counts.
Dave Roberts, who plays in the rock band Oohs and Ahs, had him oohing and awing after that. His first touchdown reception of the year. 1 play, 17 seconds. Set your stopwatch again.
Weldon, 3 completions for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The all-time record for most touchdown passes in a game is 5. Established first in 1968 against Wake Forest, most recently equaled last year in the rout of Louisiana Tech, which you saw right here on Sunshine Network.
And equaled now tonight.
A point shy of 60. Strickland a yard deep, and here he comes. Across the 20. Bounces outside to the 26-yard line. Alan Stewart on the stop. And there's Dave Roberts. He's already graduated from school, Keith. He's a graduate student now, and he still has 2 years of eligibility. Already earned his bachelor degree.
Extremely intelligent. Works probably harder in the classroom than he does on the football field, Paul. And known as just a journeyman, workman type of tight end. Gets the best out of the talent that he has, both in the classroom as well as on the field. And Bob Boyne talked about that at halftime.
This is Jerome Woods firing and overshooting. Andrew Browning, his third-string tight end, saying action now. His numbers this evening.
If not for a penalty, would have been 3 for about 50 and 2 touchdowns.
He said the goal of this ball club was to go 9-2 and play in a major bowl. They'll be 2-2 when this night is done with an open week, and then they've got to face 3 teams that began today in the top 10 in 4 weeks. Run out of bounds by quarterback Woods. To reemphasize that point, following this open date, 3 of Florida State's next 4 games, Keith, are against the likes of Syracuse, Auburn, and Miami. And you add to that Virginia Tech on the road in Blacksburg. Goodness gracious.
Bowden talked about the schedule, and we're seeing some of the fruits of that.
Here is Woods, the Alabama native. But Stallworth, the freshman, he too from Alabama. On the receiving end, 6'2", 230. Try and sort this one out.
Pass interference on the defense. It's going to be first down.
Break out the erasers. That would have been the 4th interception surrendered tonight by Tulane.
A call away from the ball.
You have 2 flags. 2 separate members of this crew saw the same thing.
Florida State's penalties there, 6 for 65 yards. One of them erases this interception. One of them erased an earlier touchdown to Roberts. Tulane playing relatively error-free.
We may get to see Charlie Ward at quarterback. He's taken some snaps there. That'd be something. He was recruited to play QB. There is Woods. Harold Dennis down to the 45-yard line. Regardless of the score, number 28 runs it hard. We've said that a time or two.
That he has. He only had 3 carries in the first 3 games coming into tonight. The freshman.
You find out what kind of players you got, Keith.
You really do. And the only way these players will get better, Paul, is with playing time. So when you're behind like this, you've got to start making plans for the future. And that man right there, Bobby Bowden, his future's right now. Tulane's working on theirs.
Man in motion, Tony, who caught the touchdown pass, the lone score this evening for the Greenies. Flacco. Nowhere to go for Dennis. And the stop is made for FSU by Ed Clark, the linebacker.
James Chaney also in there with help. Watch the linebacker come from the left and the lone set back from the right, and there'll be a collision about the line of scrimmage. That's a knock 'em back. That'll get some oohs and ahs during the film on Sunday or Monday.
Our spotter, Tom Block, had it all the way. Well covered. Nowhere for Urson. And now the flag. Well, you can debate that one. As Brian Ryder, the linebacker, thought he was playing the football. Or Weish, rather. John Weish. The jersey.
First down.
Weish has seen a lot of playing time this year as an integral part of the Florida State defense.
The second pass interference call of this one possession for Tulane.
Of course, that results in an automatic first down, keeps drives going, gives you 3 more shots. Does it Tulane.
On first and 10 at the Florida State 38-yard line for Jerome Woods. Now he'll pull it down, and if he'd have gotten out of that pocket, he had the sideline. DeAndre Clark, number 91, the freshman, grabbed him around the shoe tops, and that was a big tackle. That'd have been at least a 12, 15-yard gain.
Yeah, there was a lot of room in front of Woods. Clark able to grab him about the shoestrings or the top of the ankle and trip him up.
Great size, 6'3", and 2.5. From Winter Garden in West Orange High School. Just another of this fabulous future that Bobby Bowden has waiting on him. Open McIntosh. Where has he been this evening, Jerome McIntosh? From Niceville, Florida. Recall early in the first quarter what a fine start he got off to. This fellow who caught 3 TD passes against the Noles last year and has close to a dozen career receptions. Tonight, 5 catches for 80 yards, but only 1 here in the second half. That was his very first grab of the second half tonight.
Confusion on the Florida State side, and Seminoles take a timeout.
With 11.5 minutes to go in the football game, and leading 59-6, the Noles well on their way to their second victory of 1989. Florida State invades Blacksburg, the Commonwealth of Virginia, to take on the Hokies of Virginia Tech. They won today, beat Temple. 12 o'clock Eastern. Tech much improved. We'll have it for you live right here on the Sunshine Network. Back to live action. First and 10 for Tulane. Their second sustained march, now at the 18. And Barre down to the 12-yard line. There's a possibility, too, that we could be way up north in the Carrier Dome in Syracuse to bring you the Orangemen and the Garnet and the Gold. Check your local listings for that one coming up in 2 weeks. Florida State will enjoy next week off. I'll tell you folks that are enjoying this one tonight, Keith, this is the 40th anniversary of Coach Don Veller's 1949 team. And the old grads were introduced here tonight prior to kickoff.
That they were, and I'll tell you, you see Strickland dance around for another couple. The 48, 49, and 50 group. Remember, Florida State began playing football in 1947. The 48, 49, and 50 group, Paul, was 24-2 under Coach Don Veller. In 1950, I believe it was, they went 8-0 and played in Florida State's first bowl game down in Tampa, the 1950 Cigar Bowl. That group's had a great time being here this weekend.
They'll be passing out cigars all over the Florida State locker room tonight. The old alums gathering. This was also Parents Weekend in Tallahassee. Barre fighting his way inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Stanley Barre, the sophomore, carrying there for the 12th time tonight. A dozen carries, most of which have come between the tackles. And he's averaging better than 5 yards a carry. Here's Barre.
Coming into the contest only averaging about 3 yards a carry. Had 51 carries prior to the night. That particular play, a third and about a half a yard, he converts the first down. Green Wave are sitting first and goal at the 4.
Now, you saw a lot of number 1s come in there defensively for Florida State. They want to keep them out of the end zone on first and goal at the 4. Off the option. And Jerome Woods cannot get in. You got Eric Hayes back out there, Odell Higgins, Henry Ostrozewski. The front three, Shelton Thompson, Kevin Grant, Leroy Butler, Kirk Carruthers, holding hands, trying to keep spirit alive and limit Tulane to 1 score. Keith Carter, the inside linebacker, calling the signals.
Not only that, Paul, this is the 13th play of this drive. Another great drive by Tulane. Over 5 minutes gone on the clock.
Tony in motion. Woods to Strickland. He will not get there. Calvin Smith to drop him for a loss. Leroy Butler coming up there, too. The clock rolling with 8:50 to play. And it's 3rd and goal from the 4.
3rd and goal, 14th play of the drive. Look for Tulane to try outside. Maybe that option again, or maybe a rollout pass, trying to spread this Florida State defense.
Calvin Smith was checked out. That was him leaving. Blitz on the game. Kirk Carruthers, the 4th quarterback sack of the football game. They guessed pass, and Carruthers came flying through.
Had 50 tackles as a freshman last year. You're going to see him come left to right. He's going to jump up and then cover. Then he gets help from Clark on the backside.
DeAndre, who assists Carruthers. The field goal try by Todd Wiggins of 26 yards. Angled to his left, and he nails it. They needed something after this long march, and can take solace in the fact that they move it all the way from their 26-yard line, do so in a dozen plays, and put 3 on the board. The crowd salutes the Noles, who lead by 50 at 59-9. After moving the football, keep the length of the field, you couldn't fault Greg Davis, even though he trailed by that margin, for trying to rescue something.
Oh, you've got to put points on the board of a drive like that.
The Baltimore Orioles and the Milwaukee Brewers, as we head down the home stretch, will be up in Milwaukee County Stadium, where they serve the bratwurst and the red sauce. The first pitch Wednesday will come at you at 8:30 as the Orioles try and catch the Blue Jays. And Green Wave going to try and be catching Shannon Baker and Lawrence Dawsey. As Gary Butler sends it end over end. And the freshman Baker from his 6. Cannot get away at the 28-yard line. And a flag goes down. A dead ball foul. Corey Dowden, a reserve corner, made the stop after Baker had brought it back 24.
Looks like it's against Florida State by the reaction of some of the players.
Flipping on the receiving team during the run back would be first down.
From the moment he drove the spear into the heart of Doak Campbell, it has been all Florida State, with the exception of 2 scoring drives, both prolonged. This one, 14 plays, 65 yards, 643. The other, 80 yards. And here is Charlie Ward at quarterback. Take off, Charlie. First down. And a flag down.
Things getting a little sloppy. You hate to see that. Well played game by Florida State. Tulane's done very well penalty-wise. Here's Ward, Thomasville, Georgia freshman. Boy, they're high on this kid, too. When you talk to the Florida State coaches about the Ant Lees and the Charlie Wards of the world, they're extremely excited about the potential of these youngsters.
Face mask penalty the call, so you tack 5 more onto that. Charlie Ward, who failed to qualify academically 2 years ago, rather than going to a junior college or coming on to this campus and sitting out a year and surrendering a year of eligibility, just stayed at home, took some classes, and has 3 more years in front of it, in addition to this one. And that would take a great deal of discipline at the age of 18 years to do that.
Well, he's a very mature young man. You know, when he came in, they didn't have a punter, so they asked him to do that.
Motion the call, the right side of the line jump to Reggie Dixon, the split guard move prior to the snap.
They asked Charlie to come in and punt, and sure enough, he gets the ball off quicker than any of the other punters that Florida State has, and he's won the punting job.
With 7 minutes remaining, facing 1st and 10. Right up the gut. And on the carry is Maurice Pinckney, the 3rd fullback that we have seen in this game.
Pinckney out of Fort Lauderdale, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Getting his first playing time as a Seminole. Where's number 21?
How active has the Seminole coaching staff been recruiting players?
Not only that, how active have they been getting them in tonight? They played 60 against LSU. They'll probably break that tonight.
To the air. Baker juggles it. Can't hold on. And deep downfield, Ronald Lewis could play solitaire at the 30-yard line.
Ronnie was wide open. Ward, a good throw. Shannon just has to learn to hang on to those in the ball game.
Total passing yards for the Seminoles this evening, close to a record. We told you Peter Tom Willis and his big night. The Noles with 485.
Could have gone over 500 if Baker had come down with that one.
23 more, Keith, would tie the record in a single game. You'd think they'd pass here. Ward. Going deep. Lewis is there. And it's broken up at the 22. That ball was thrown 60 yards in the air. And just about right on the money. Hung up there a little bit.
I think someone a little ways down in the Florida State offensive press box saw how wide open Lewis was on the play prior and got that play in.
He threw it from his own 20 to the far 20. And he's in there to punt. And timeout is called and taken by Tulane. Timeout on the field with just 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go. We'll return to Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee in just a moment where Florida State leads in a big way. We'll remind you once again that Matty Gukas and his Orlando Magic take on the Detroit Pistons live from the Orlando Arena. Our pregame show at 7:30, the historic first half at 8, only on the Sunshine Network.
Talked about the reunion of the 48, 49, and 50 group. That man right there is part of the legacy of the 50 group, while a quarterback at Sanford played the Florida State Seminoles here in Campbell Stadium in 1950, lost 20-6. Little All-American for Sanford, Bobby Bowden.
Under a pretty heavy rush, Ward tumbles it out of there, and there's no return. Fair catch called for and made by Michael Pierce. Just a 36-yard punt. We have offsides against Tulane.
Wouldn't think Florida State would want to punt again. I would think they would decline this penalty. It will not be enough to give them a first down. See a little smile by the head coach.
Had a number of penalties tonight. This has been a long night at the office for referee Terry Monk. The Seminoles have been hit with 9. The Greenies with 4. Florida State with 17 in the first quarter, 14 in the second. They led 31-0 to the Seminoles at the half, 21 more in the third, and pouring it on in the fourth, and it's picked off. Terrell Beckley sliding at the 15. Isn't he something? Electrifying. A 25-yard return, the 4th interception by the Noles this evening.
Poor decision, poor read by Woods that time. Buckley in the right place at the right time. And, we need not say anything more about his open field running.
We'll need a thesaurus to find adjectives to continue to chronicle the exploits of the Noles this evening.
One move there. Cheney get out of the way. Slips down very near the same area that he fell down or got tackled on the punt return.
We have had not one, but apparently 2 major infractions, 15-yard penalties against the Noles that would take them all the way back to the 47-yard line. 2 dead ball, 15-yard penalties.
2 personal fouls. I'll tell you what, there'll be somebody with some ears burning when that gets communicated by a coach to a player. You don't do those things.
Here's Ward. They want to go to the air. And he'll scramble. Close to a first down across midfield at the 45-yard line. He rambled for 8 yards there. We have seen Peter Tom Willis with a couple of touchdown tosses. Casey Weldon with not 1 but 2. Make that 3 by Weldon. We didn't see Brad Johnson this evening, or haven't yet.
Probably won't see Brad. Still suffering from that broken jaw he suffered in pre-season.
Ward, it's picked off. Look out, this could be trouble. Mike Riley had the boundary for a moment. He could have gone 60, 70 yards. The quarterback and Ward made the tackle, and he is slow getting up. A 20-yard return by the Marrero Jr., and here's how it happened.
Well, Ward just overthrows his tight end, and Riley's right there to pick it up. Watch Charlie Ward take a hit here. Actually, Riley delivers a hit. Oh, got to teach those quarterbacks to tackle with that face mask and not with their chest.
Got his wind knocked out of him. At best. Charlie Ward. Like so many other Seminoles that are here making their debut this evening in varsity action, Shannon Baker, Ampli, Charlie Ward behind center for the first time. Tulane with the football, and that's Jonathan Pierce, the fullback. with less than 5 minutes to go, and the Green Wave trailing 59-9.
We talked about early that Florida State dominating this series. Every time that Tulane has come to Campbell Stadium, they have lost by an average of 38 points. That's been the margin of victory tonight, no exception. And things are going according to the record book.
That's Urson trotting toward the Seminole logo. Pierce sweeping the right side, breaking one tackle, taking on a couple of Knowles, and down to the 40-yard line. Reggie Freeman there defensively, the outside linebacker. The all-time record for most interceptions by a Seminole team against an opponent is a decade old. 1979 the year, and Keith Jones was there against the Florida Gators.
Had two of them, one in that particular contest, and played down in Gainesville, I believe, in '79, and came away with a victory.
4 here this evening, with 4 minutes to go. Pierce stretches it out down to the 37. The clock continues to roll. On the stop, Levon Brown, 4th string defensive back. Just about everybody that dressed tonight has got into the game for FSU.
As we said, 60 folks appeared in the LSU contest, and I'm quite confident that Florida State's topped that in terms of number of people participating here tonight for Coach Bowden.
The freshman in Stallworth calling signals as Pierce works it to the 30 and may have a first down. On the stop, John Davis, the free safety coming up. Davis, one of 4 true freshmen to play last week, Keith, in the victory over LSU, and he's just not in there for mop-up duty. Here's a guy in Davis that plays when the game's on the line.
He's used, I believe, in their dime package when they bring in 6 defensive backs, and he has seen time.
With 2:40 to go. Pierce. He has the first down. At the 29-yard line, it's first down Green Wave. We may see here Jerome Woods go to the air. He's completed a pair of passes and 7 tries tonight for 26 yards. And he's been intercepted twice.
Pierce, on the other hand, 8 carries for 47 yards. He's had a workout tonight. He and Barry both.
As the crowd thins, Woods fires. It's deflected, nearly intercepted. The pass intended for Tulane's Terrence Strickland, and there defensively was Reggie Freeman for FSU. There's a sea of garnet jerseys around Strickland. That would have been interception number 5. He got his hands on it. .209 remaining, 2nd and 10. And the sophomore Woods. Down the line option. Pitches. And Dennis is to the 22.
Another flag.
Terrell Buckley there defensively for FSU. It stops the clock with 1:59 remaining. May take us a while to finish this one up. Dead ball personal foul against Florida State. We've had 3 separate dead ball personal foul calls against the Noles in this quarter alone, and the penalty yardage now a season high 135 yards on 12 penalties.
When you look at the game film, I think offensively and defensively, kicking game-wise, Florida State will be pleased. That one area will be talked about, I'll guarantee you.
The clock begins to roll again. 1st and 10 out of the 10. Actually earn a first down, can the Green Wave, without scoring, and trying to get into the end zone is Harold Dennis, the freshman fullback. While we have time, let's thank the sports information directors at both Tulane and here at Florida State. Jeff Seal has been most helpful for the Green Wave cause, and Wayne Hogan, Donna Turner, and company. Our hosts, Ed Doak Campbell, as always, for FSU. Rod Wilson, of course, as well. 59-9 the score. Time running down. Stuffed in the backfield. And back in there, the number ones again. And Kirk Carruthers teaming with Sterling Palmer and Henry Ostaszewski, number 74, accepting accolades. Here's how it happened.
Pierce takes a sidestep, moves up front, and there's Ostaszewski, Kelvin Smith, and company there to greet him. Kirk Carruthers, number 45. Tulane takes a timeout. 58 seconds left.
They're running out of time on this 1989 Major League season. The final day of the year. I guess that means winter is here. The Houston Astros and the Cincinnati Reds. It's been a long year for Cincinnati, has it not? A tragic year. 2 o'clock Eastern, we'll have the Stros and the Reds from Riverfront. Tommy Helms now at the helm. Only on the Sunshine Network. Houston had quite a year, a little bit better than anyone really expected the Astros to have.
Yeah, they played well. High hopes for the Reds as well, and then the Pete Rose scandal, if you will. Growing up in Ohio for a time like I did, you know, the Big Red Machine was who I followed. You hate to see anything like that happen in any sport.
A number of those members of the Big Red Machine, a number of the members of that will be playing in the Senior League out in Florida. David Concepcion, one of them. Here's Woods, looking for the end zone. Under pressure, it's dropped. He got it away, and Strickland could not hold on to a sure touchdown pass. Some pushing and shoving back at the line of scrimmage.
Frustration, I'm sure, on Tulane's part.
Both teams will leave Doak Campbell with identical records. The Greenies opened the season by dropping one in Honolulu to Hawaii. Then beat Rice in last week's Southwest Louisiana. The Noles, after successive losses to Southern Miss and Clemson, besting SEC member LSU, and now getting one of LSU's arch rivals in Tulane a week later. Woods running around and dumping and dropped. Tulane dropping consecutive apparent touchdown passes. Steve Ballard, the wide receiver, had it right in his hand and couldn't stand prosperity.
Ballard did a great job to work himself open. That was a 4th down play. I believe the ball will convert on downs, but Woods in there, gets outside pressure, works up, works to his left, our right as we look at it, goes back the other way, tucks the ball under, and he's going to spot Ballard and just lays it in there and poop. Drops the pudding.
He is a freshman, and it goes over on downs. And, well, it was ruled an illegal forward pass. He must have been past the line of scrimmage. We lost it in all of this. It's academic. 44 seconds to go, kid.
Well, again, as you look at it, Florida State offensively, defensively, and from the kicking game standpoint has to be very satisfied. Penalties need to be worked on, though.
Pickney on the carry again. As you see, the time expired. Florida State at 500 with a week off to get ready for a road trip to play in the Dome against Syracuse. And Tulane having to regroup to ready for Iowa State. This one's over, and you can paint it garnet and gold. 61,000 plus cheer on Bobby Bowden as his Seminoles have speared Tulane 59-9. A 50-point rout. And for a team which has become accustomed to enjoying top 20 status, Bobby Bowden's Noles once again assert their claim that they may be headed toward that elite group once again here in 89. We'll return to Doak Campbell Stadium to wrap it up right after this. An offensive onslaught propels Florida State to a 59-9 mashing of the Green Wave of Tulane. Welcome back upstairs here in a now rapidly emptying Doak Campbell Stadium. And Keith, the numbers offensively were overwhelming for Florida State.
That they are. Nearly 600 yards of total offense for Florida State, better than 480 of it through the air. Quite an offensive showing by the Seminoles tonight.
Yeah, big plays, too, among the 5 touchdown passes we saw. Casey Weldon comes in, throws an 88-yarder. The big plays the story, too, for Florida State on offense. 5 TD passes, though, certainly memorable. It equals an FSU all-time record.
Well, that it does, I think, too. Probably, and they don't keep statistics on it, but probably the shortest scoring drives in the history of Florida State. Scoring drives of 21 seconds and 41 seconds and 1 minute and 2. It was really an outstanding offensive show.
Yeah, you had to set your stopwatch. And don't forget the defense. 4 interceptions, 1 shy of Keith Jones and company, their record of a decade ago. We'll return to wrap it up here. 59-9, the final tonight. Nearly 600 yards of total offense and 5 separate touchdown passes have propelled Florida State to a 59-9 rout of Tulane. Both teams now at 2-2 on this 89 campaign. Join us Sunday, October 1st for the best in collegiate tennis from Bay Point, the Bay Point Collegiate Tournament. And it's Florida State and Virginia Tech from Blacksburg, live on Saturday, October 14th, the best in NCAA football. Florida State and the Sunshine Network. Tonight's game brought to you by Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. By your Gold Star Dodge dealers, there's a definitive difference in Dodge. And by Albertsons, your food and drug people. For my producer, Tom Hastings, and Keith Jones, I'm Paul Kennedy, and this is the Sunshine Network.